Last season, Mizzou quarterback Drew Lock led the nation with an SEC record 44 touchdown passes. He elected to bypass the NFL draft and return for his senior season. Expectations are high for Lock and Mizzou after winning their last 6 regular season games last year and their first bowl appearance in 3 years. And just a few moments ago, the Tigers taking the field to begin the 128th season of Mizzou football, and we welcome you to the opening weekend here on the SEC Network as UT Martin out of the Ohio Valley Conference taking on the SEC's Missouri Tigers. And we're so happy you could join us on this Saturday from Columbia, along with former St. Louis Ram and Alabama offensive lineman Barrett Jones. I'm Mark Neely. Alex Cordry down on the field. We'll check in with shortly. Drew Lock, the spotlight is on him, Barrett. How has he become one of the best quarterbacks in the nation?
The spotlight is absolutely on him. You know, the last 6 games of the year particularly, he put up some video game style numbers last year. Absolutely unbelievable. So, you know, I really wanted to dig into this guy's tape this year. And the first thing I saw that jumped off the page to me was the arm talent. He really has all the throws. Throws a great deep ball, but also has great touch on his underneath stuff. Also really like his anticipation, is able to fit the ball into some tight windows, occasionally gets him in trouble. But really, overall, the guy's a playmaker. When the play breaks down, he's able to get out of the pocket, make some plays. He's the emotional leader of this team. And do not be surprised if this is the first name you hear called in the 2019 NFL Draft. If he comes out, has a great year this year, would not shock anyone if he goes number 1.
Right now, Mel Kiper very high on Drew Lock. He is atop his board for quarterbacks heading into next year's NFL Draft. Now, for UT Martin, the Skyhawks, FCS team, but last year they played at Ole Miss and played very well, especially Mississippi native running back Ladarius Galloway, who nearly ran for 200 yards.
Yeah, I had the privilege of actually calling this game last year at Ole Miss, and I tell you what, Ladarius Galloway absolutely had a coming out party with 188 yards. I talked to the UT Martin coaches this week, and they said that they were telling Ladarius all week to pretend like he's playing another Mississippi school because of the performance he had. Expect to see the ball in his hands a lot today.
It is the head coach of the UT Martin Skyhawks, Jason Simpson, in his 13th year. He is the longest tenured head coach in the Ohio Valley Conference. And we are ready to start the season for the Tigers and the Skyhawks. And the touchback will bring it out to the 25 for the Skyhawks. UT Martin Skyhawks out of the Ohio Valley Conference from Martin, Tennessee. And the young man who's from nearby Dresden, Tennessee, Dresden High School, now in his sophomore year, Dresser Wynn, the starting quarterback, but his first time to start an opener.
Yeah, Dresser Wynn obviously has a tough challenge ahead of him today, but they really like this kid. You know, UT Martin, a good team at the FCS level, and they're expecting big things this season from Dresser Wynn.
6'3", 200-pounder Dresser Wynn. There's Galloway in the backfield with him, in motion. The tight end key. They sling it out to Jalen Moore. Moore out near the 30. Memphis native Jalen Moore brought down by Cam Hilton. And we'll see some tempo from both these teams, Barrett.
Well, you know, I expect UT Martin to kind of change their tempo up. It's something they do a lot, especially against big teams like Missouri. Got to try to take away as much advantage as they can.
There's Galloway straight ahead. Not much there for him this time. Need just a couple. And speaking of Ladarius Galloway, you mentioned he's from Indianola, Mississippi. Had a huge game against Ole Miss last year.
He did. He ran wild, and I guarantee you, Barry Odom has showed that film to his guys about Ladarius Galloway, telling this guy can embarrass you. He kind of embarrassed those Ole Miss guys last year. I know they did not want any more of Ladarius Galloway.
3rd down and 3 for the Skyhawks. Dresser Wynn looking to throw, flushed out. He's chased and he slings it out of bounds, and it'll be a 3 and out on the first possession of the game for UT Martin. Good pressure there from defensive end Chris Turner.
A great start right there by the Tigers. That's going to be a big question mark, something we track all season. The secondary wasn't very strong last year for Missouri, and that's something they really addressed in the offseason. They feel like they had an extremely young secondary last year. All those guys are back, another year of experience, and so far, good coverage to start this game on 2 pass plays.
St. Cox on to punt. That's Jonathan Johnson to receive the punt. The primary kick returner last year, Rashad Floyd, is out with a broken foot. He's probably going to miss another few weeks, so Johnson gets the call to be the starting punt returner to begin the season. Cox, who was a redshirt last year, Low punt taken at the 36 by Johnson. Eludes one tackle, a sidestep, but then it's wrapped up and dropped at the 38. It's going to bring out Drew Lock.
Yeah, here's Drew Lock, the guy we've all been wanting to see. Really, really excited to watch him play today. I think absolutely a huge year is in store for him. Obviously, Derek Dooley coming in, we'll see the effect that has. We talked about the strengths in the opener. Has great arm strength, anticipation, playmaking ability. The things we want to see him improve on, his decision-making. 13 interceptions last year. 11 interceptions, 4 too many turnovers, and working on his accuracy. You know, his completion percentage. He didn't really play in an offense that boded well for completion percentage. I think Derek Dooley wants to see the ball hit receivers' hands, continue moving that clock, and really just get that completion percentage somewhere in the 60s this year.
Demarie Crockett breaks a tackle, and he runs for 10 yards on his first carry of the season. Devontae Mara and Porter Streeter, cornerback and safety, bring him down.
Well, I know that's a welcome sign for the Missouri faithful right there. Demarie Crockett, a guy who had an outstanding freshman year, over 1,000 yards. Unfortunately hurt his shoulder last year, a few games into the season, was on pace for another big year. They're happy to get him back healthy.
He got hurt in week 6 at Georgia and missed that second half of the season. They sling it out to Crockett, catches, runs across the 40-yard line right near another first down. Tripped up by one of the impressive linebackers for UT Martin, James Gillian. Let's look at that Tigers starting lineup, including the guy they call Albert O. Okwuegbunam.
Love that name. That's one you have to really rehearse for right there. Okwuegbunam. Good player, though. Excited to watch him.
First team preseason All-SEC, and there's a quick strike. Guess who? Albert O. Okwuegbunam with the reception, 7-yard pickup. After the pickup of 7, second down and 3 for the Tigers at the 33 of UT Martin. Give it to Crockett. Not much there that time for Crockett. Just a yard or so. Let's look at that Skyhawks starting defense. We mentioned Gillian, who's already made a tackle. It's a really deep linebacking core.
It is. You know, when you're playing a 3-3-5, which is what UT Martin plays, not something you see a whole lot in the SEC. You have to have good linebackers. You have to have linebackers that can do everything. And this team really has a really solid group of linebackers.
Tigers facing their first third down, a 3rd and short, and on 3rd and 2, Crockett's going to move the chains.
This is something Derek Dooley talked a lot to us about in the meetings this week. Was he wanted to come out and establish the running game. You know, felt like they did not run the ball well enough. They have 5 experienced offensive line starters coming back, returning all 5 guys. They really feel like to compete this year and to be the offense they want to be, they have to run the ball more effectively.
Crockett dropped for a loss in the backfield of the 35 by the aforementioned James Gillian. Third member of our broadcast team down below. How's the heat, AC? Alex Cordry.
Well, just like the sun is beating down on this field, the spotlight is very bright on Drew Lock. He is the face of Missouri football. When he took the field this afternoon, the fans erupted. He's virtually on every preseason watch list, and he's one of the top quarterbacks in college football. So how is he handling the national attention like a pro? Lock says, I'm honored to change people's minds and get on their radars, but I won't allow it to affect my preparation. Now, as for his offensive lineman, Kevin Pendleton, he is out of this opener with a left knee injury, but the Missouri Tigers expect to have him back next week. Mark.
Yeah, Pendleton started every game at left guard a couple years ago, so he is out today. There's a pass across the field to Nate Brown. He's inside the 10. Let's go back a couple of plays. Jonathan Johnson.
Yeah, that's a big part of Missouri's offense. You know, I'm very interested to see how much of this screen game would be incorporated by Derek Dooley. And so far, we've seen a lot of quick screens, a lot of quick hitters. You know, Derek Dooley talked to us. He didn't want to change everything, right? If it's not broke, don't fix it. Had a lot of positives last year. Already seeing some quick screens.
Timeout called by UT Martin. We'll step aside just 4 minutes into this one in Columbia. Opening of the season for the Missouri Tigers here in Columbia. And Mizzou on its first offensive possession after UT Martin went 3 and out on their first possession to begin the game. Mizzou already 4 first downs on this drive. 2 have come via the run, 2 via the pass. And a 2nd and 4 coming up from inside the 10.
Yeah, I know a lot of Mizzou fans we talked to were anxious to see what Derek Dooley's offense would look like, all the changes he'd make. It's something we're keeping a close eye on today. So far, a lot of similarities. I've seen a few changes in the run game so far. This is going to be a very explosive offense this season.
Locke puts it in the belly of Crockett, straight ahead, breaks a tackle, and he's into the end zone. Touchdown, Mizzou. Had a couple of rushing touchdowns last year before the shoulder injury, and he picks up his first on the first drive of the season for Mizzou.
Yeah, we're already seeing the impact of Derek Dooley right here already. Another pro-style run, just a classic inside zone right here to Demarie Crockett. A great job of sticking his foot in the ground. But a better job by that big offensive line of just paving the way for an easy touchdown to open the game.
Tucker McCann, who was 51 of 53 on point afters a year ago, knocks that through. And the Tigers on their first possession march down the field in the touchdown run for Demarie Crockett.
There's Demarie Crockett. He's back from injury, taking the handoff, giving the Tigers an early lead, 7-0 Missouri.
SEC Network Football is brought to you by NHTSA. Plan ahead before you party. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Folks know they're grilling. They know they're face painting. We're ready to go. Opening weekend here in Columbia as the Tigers on their first possession. For 9 plays, 62 yards. The Crockett 9-yard touchdown run. And Drew Locke on that first drive. 4 of 4 through the air, 41 yards.
Hey, we talked about in the open, accuracy. So far, nothing to complain about. Very accurate. I know he got him some nice, easy throws to get started on his season, but really like what I saw from the Missouri offense. Looked very focused. Everybody was on the same page. That's what you want to see in a game like this. Execution. You want to go out there and see your guys take it to the game and go out there and execute.
Another touchback off the foot of Tucker McCann. Here's a look at that touchdown run for Crockett.
Yeah, you see the pistol formation, a very pro-style run from Derek Dooley right here. Just an inside zone kind of play. Probably a play that the Missouri Tigers installed the very first day of camp, right up the middle. When you got a big, powerful offensive line like that, particularly when you're facing an odd defense like a 3-3-5, sometimes it's just good to run right at the middle, right at those guys, and let your big boys up front do all the work. A nice job. Open up a nice hole. And again, Demarie Crockett, they're extremely excited to get that guy back from injury. And I don't know about you, Mark, but to me, he looked 100% healthy.
Yeah, he looked very good on the first possession. Second possession of the game for UT Martin. A handoff to Galloway. Running right, there is a flag, our first flag of the game. Backfield at the 20.
Chance we might get an illegal chop block here on the Skyhawks. It's like miscommunication on the backside of this run play.
Personal foul, chop block, offense, number 72 and number 55. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
You are correct. The center, Nick Thomas, and the left tackle, Nick Allen, called for that.
Unfortunately, Mark, I'm all too familiar with illegal chop blocks.
For both those positions, huh?
Yeah. The rule is you can't at all make contact with two guys when a guy's already engaged. That's when they'll get you is when two different guys. That one, from another angle, didn't look too bad, but it's definitely, it's a safety kind of deal. The chop blocks, you gotta make sure it's only one guy. They're really cracking down. It would not surprise me, Mark, in a few years if we see chop blocks disappear like that.
Dresser wins, slings it out, and it's caught by Terry Williams. Williams, who is a JUCO transfer, last year was third in the nation in JUCO football with over 1,000 receiving yards. He was a first-team All-American.
And I expect to see a lot of plays like that today where they're getting the ball out of Wynn's hands quickly. They understand, their FCS opponent, they probably can't deal with the pass rush Missouri has to offer. You're playing a team like that as superior athletes, you got to get the ball out of your hands quickly.
So second down at 14. From there, 21, and Galloway not much there. Terez Hall comes up from his linebacker spot to bring him down.
Terez Hall is a player I really like. Wouldn't shock me to see him on some postseason All-SEC lists. A guy who I think had a great year last year, but could even possibly make another big step forward this year. He's kind of the leader of this defense. I think probably the best player outside of Terry Beckman. Big year for him in store.
Third down at 13 for the Skyhawks. Sophomore quarterback Dresser Wynn.
This is not the kind of situation you want for the Skyhawks. Third and long. those pass rushers can pin their ears back.
Wynn has time to throw. It's caught at the 28 by Jalen Moore, wrapped up there, and he's a good 4 yards short of the first down. Line to gain was the 35, and it'll be 4th down.
Yeah, nice job by Mizzou. Barry Odom and his defensive coordinator Ryan Walters right there. They showed some blitz, backed off, dropped 8 guys, made a nice tackle to set up a 4th down. Another good showing. So far, this game has gone just as scripted right now for the Mizzou Tigers.
Mizzou team that won their opener last year, a shootout against Missouri State, then lost 5 in a row. Were 1-5, then won 6 straight to finish the regular season before falling to Texas in the Texas Bowl.
Yeah, talk about a tale of 2 halves of the season right there. Just got on a winning streak there late in the season. Something we're going to talk about, though, was the schedule set up very favorably for them to get on that win streak, but really played well down the stretch.
Number 49, 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
That'll cost UT Martin another 5 yards. Yeah, the narrative has really changed around Mizzou football thanks to the way the season ended. It was not good at the midpoint of the year last year.
There's no doubt. I mean, there were people that were calling for Barry Odom's job, and rightfully so. I mean, 1-5, a terrible start to the season. Cannot afford to get off of that kind of start again this year if they want to accomplish the things they're talking about accomplishing.
Just getting the punt away, Cox shakes it out of bounds. It goes out near midfield. We'll see where they mark it. But when we come back, possession number 2 for Locke and the Tigers. All right, thanks very much. Back here in Columbia, Missouri, the second possession for the Tigers, who found the end zone on their first drive. And on that first drive, Drew Lock was 4 for 4 with completions to 4 different receivers for 41 yards.
Yeah, Drew Lock looked really, really sharp that first drive, and also a great drive by Demaria Crockett. And here's Larry Roundtree, a guy who stepped up last year. You know, talking to the coaches, they see this more as a 1A and 1B kind of situation where they feel like they have 2 backs they have a lot of confidence in.
Tigers beginning at the 44, taking a shot downfield. Emmanuel Hall, the intended receiver, no flag. Great starting field position for the Tigers thanks to an 18-yard punt. Look at last year against winning teams. Only averaged 18 points per game. And look at the turnover margin.
Yeah, that was really the story of last season. And Barry Odom really talked about it, that if they want to accomplish the things they want to do this year, they're going to have to win some games against quality opponents. You know, they kind of beat up on some bad teams late in their schedule and caught some teams at the right time. This team this year is poised to have some big plays.
So after Locke's first incompletion, he gives it to Roundtree, and he's bumped down right near the marker as he goes for 10 yards and a Mizzou first down.
And talking to Jason Simpson, this is the coach for UT Martin. This is probably his greatest fear, is that the power of this Missouri offensive line would just be too much for his guys to handle. So far, that's been the case. They really run the ball extremely effectively early in this game.
Locke pulls it out of the belly of Roundtree, has plenty of time, takes a shot to the end zone, has his man wide open, Emmanuel Hall. Touchdown, Mizzou. 34 yards. It's a great junior year last year for Hall, who was second on the team in yardage, pass catching, and had 8 TDs, and he gets his first of the year.
Yeah, Emmanuel Hall, he's kind of the speedster for this team. A great drive by Drew Lock, finding his second read, giving that post time to run past the safety, and Emmanuel Hall just uses his speed to kind of split those safeties. A great throw and catch by Drew Lock right there, and that's, you see it, there's a look at that arm talent right there. That's the arm talent all the scouts talk about. Kind of just flinging it out there and throwing it on a rope 40 yards for a big touchdown.
And after an SEC record 44 TD passes last year, there is number 1 for Drew Lock in 2018.
Welcome back. You're watching SEC Network. The Missouri Tigers leading 14-0. And while they are rolling right now, they are dealing with some adversity off the field. While you see the fans are working, the mister is not. The hose tubes, they have been working on them from the start of this game, so the guys are staying hot. Mark Barrett, it's about 91 degrees outside when they're playing on turf. The turf makes it 10 to 15 degrees hotter, so not an ideal day to have those misters not working.
Yikes.
I tell you, being a former big guy, you appreciate those misters down there. You know, kind of get a nice little breeze on your back. That's a tough one right there. And you said it, Alex. It's a warm one. It's a little warm up here in our booth too, Mark.
And for the record, you're not a former big guy. You're still a big guy, actually.
Well, thank you. That's a good point.
Hey, coming up 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central here on the SEC Network. College football continues as Charleston Southern faces Florida in the SEC Saturday night matchup. And on the SEC Network alternate channel, it's Middle Tennessee at Vandy. To find the SEC Network alternate channel in your area, go to secnetwork.com/channel. All that also streams live on the ESPN app.
Anybody who saw the sweat patterns right now on my dress shirt would know I'm not a former big guy, unfortunately.
Dresser Wynn rolling out. Slings it underneath near the sideline. Incomplete for Jalen Moore up at the 33. The Tigers leading 14-0. The Drew Lock 34-yard touchdown pass to Hall. Zoo had a short field to work with after just an 18-yard punt. And it's a Skyhawks team we mentioned last year played at Ole Miss. It played really well, especially in the first half. They led 16-7 down at Oxford in the second quarter. They trailed 17-16 at the half. They wound up losing 45-23. Wynn pulls it down. He's now going to run left with it and gets a block on the edge from Williams. He's pushed out of bounds about the 35.
And let's not forget what happened to this Missouri team in Game 1 of last season. I talked to the coaches about that. They played Missouri State last year. The defense gave up 492 yards and 43 points in Week 1 last year. And the coaches told us that Therese Hall made the entire defense go in and watch that film of Week 1 last year. So these guys were not going to be unprepared in Week 1 this season.
Wynn keeps it on third down and short. Does he have enough? Therese Hall and Cale Garrett, linebackers, came up to meet him in the hole.
One of my pet peeves in life, Mark, is gun runs on third and short. I don't understand why you want to lose 5 yards to start off with when you're trying to pick up 6 inches, but worked out right there for the Skyhawks.
And they do get the first down, their first down of the game. Wynn looking to throw on first down. Looks back far side and underthrows. Well, they're going to say Galloway caught that. Nice catch, but there is a flag down.
It was a nifty play design right there by the Skyhawks. Unfortunately, they're going to have some big men that I think were downfield a little too soon, but I really like that play design, a little throwback.
An eligible player downfield, number 7, is doing the legal forward pass play, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Said that was on Galloway. From where he was lined up in the formation.
Well, that could be the case, but they had a lot of big guys down there too that were.
Yeah, I think maybe you're looking at 7-0. The left guard, James Walker. More likely that was more than 3 yards downfield.
Well, and in college, you can be downfield as long as the ball is caught behind the line of scrimmage. So maybe that's why they were signaling Galloway, because he was past the line of scrimmage when he caught the football. It's a good play design, unfortunately. Got to play by the rules.
Second penalty against the Skyhawks today. Third penalty make that, and Wynn's throw is caught by Jalen Moore. He's up to the 39-yard line, about 6 yards shy of the first down.
And talking to Barry Odom, he expected some wrinkles like that. He said Jason Simpson, a guy he's faced off against before, is kind of famous for throwing a few wrinkles in each game, different formations, some trick plays. You know, and when you're in a situation like the Skyhawks are today, you really have nothing to lose. Why not let the guys have some fun and throw in some exciting plays like a throwback?
Second down at 6. Wynn pulls it down. Looked like he wanted to run. Now he's just going to throw it out of bounds. Bring up third down at 6. Now you mentioned the relationship between Odom and Coach Simpson. Barry Odom's first season as the Memphis defensive coordinator, the first game was against UTM. And UTM beat Memphis on a last-second field goal. That's the only FBS team they have beaten. They are 1-24 against the FBS. They beat Memphis 20-17 back in 2012 on the opening game that year.
And I guarantee you Barry Odom has not forgotten about that. We asked him about it, and he could recount every play of exactly what happened. He was still frustrated about losing that game, but the ending of that story is Justin Fuente and Barry Odom ended up doing a fantastic job of coming in and turning around that Memphis program. But that was the first game of the turnaround, and it did not go well.
Third and 6, quarterback keeper. And Walter Palmore, the defensive tackle, got enough of a hand on Wynn to slow him down and bring him down. Let's take you back to 2012. The only win for UT Martin against an FBS team, September 1st, 2012. You're talking exactly to the day 6 years ago.
There you go. That was a muff punt, actually. Memphis muffed a punt. about 4 seconds to go and allowed UT Martin to kick a game-winning field goal.
There's a lot of rain in that game. They had a lightning delay.
Yep.
I'm sure Skyhawk fans still remember that night fondly, that win over Memphis.
There's no doubt. Only 2 hours down the road. Know that as a fellow Memphian.
Joseph Foley, an Australian, with the punt. He's an interesting story in himself. Just joined the UTM team this past week. And his first punt as a collegian. He is, get this, 34 years old from Australia. And he joined the team on Monday. Married guy with a couple of kids, and he'd been working construction in Australia, and he has his chance to punt in college football at 34.
I don't want to rain on Joseph Foley's parade right there, but
please don't.
I think the lights might have been a little too bright for him right there. Came all the way from Australia. His first punt ever was 15 yards, but hey, he'll get better. There's a lot of Australian punters, making their way over these days. Kind of one that was pretty famous in the Southeastern Conference was Brad Wing over there at LSU, but there's a bunch of punters now. There's kind of a pipeline over there coming from Australia.
Good starting field position again for the Tigers at their own 45-yard line. Black hands off. Roundtree eludes one tackle up. Flag flies in, though, as he crossed midfield to the 48 of UTM.
Yeah, there's a flag, though. Looks like they're going to get a hold on the pulling guard for Missouri right there.
Offense, number 74, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Yeah, I almost always disagree with holding calls, but they might have gotten this one right, unfortunately. Got to drag it around. Just a simple power play right here. Kind of misses the guy in the hole. Can't drag that jersey right there. Anytime they see that arm extended, there's a misnomer in football. You can hold as much as you want, but as soon as those arms get outside the framework of the body and they see that arm extended and you're trying to restrict a guy from where he wants to go, that's an easy call for the referee, unfortunately.
And that was on number 75, Trevor Wallace-Sims, who won the starting job in fall camp last year at right guard, back at that spot for a veteran offensive line for Mariota. The penalty makes it first down and 20 with just over 4 minutes to play in this first quarter. Run straight ahead for Roundtree, where he's met by Garrett Wall. Gain of 6.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk around here about this offensive line. I really like these guys. There's not necessarily a superstar on this line. Probably the best player is the right tackle, Paul Adams. But just 5 guys who really play together well, and they're playing kind of with a chip on their shoulder this year.
Sent that screen to Johnson, who breaks a tackle, cuts to the outside, and then Turf might have made the tackle there on him. He was hoping for more. He's going to come out a little gassed right now. A gain of 9.
Yeah, I talked. Speaking of the offensive line, I talked to some of these guys early in the week, and they were a little frustrated that they didn't have anybody on any of the all SEC teams. Not one player from there. When you see those numbers, only 13 sacks allowed all season, fewest in the SEC, and 2.9 tackles for loss. Actually, a record. From since they've been keeping tackle for loss stats, the fewest tackle for losses in the entire season this Missouri offensive line allowed. So what that tells me is these guys know their assignments. Very assignment play.
You're looking at the per game numbers from last year. Block throws, and it's complete. Albert Okuebuna, 7-yard gain. Andrew Martindale, the quarterback, up to make the tackle.
We're talking in the open about Locke's playmaking ability when things break down. That's exactly what we saw right here. UT Martin brings an all-out blitz right up the middle. He's able to roll out, find Okuebuna for a first down.
Up at the 43-yard line of UTM, handed off. Roundtree averts one tackle, a second, and then pulled down at the 35. Picks up 8 on first down.
Speaking of Locke, Mark, coaches talk a lot about it. It's hard to teach that playmaking ability, and Derek Dooley talked to us about you don't want to change Locke, but you want to hold him back so he doesn't turn the ball over quite as much, but you never want him to lose that playmaking ability that he has that makes him so successful.
Roundtree with the carry. Just needed a couple, and was there, but we'll bring up a third down and 1. Well, we talked with Barry Odom yesterday about Josh Heupel's time here, the couple of years. He was very complimentary, loved what Josh did with the offense. But I think he likes the fact Derek Dooley's been in the NFL the last 5 years. It's going to kind of bring some of that pro style to this offense. Here's the first down run.
I totally agree. I think talking to everybody, one of the themes in those meetings was that they could care less about the numbers this year. The only number they were concerned about was the number of wins they had at the end of the season. They were, like you said, very appreciative of Josh Heupel, the job he did. I think last year they felt like they really didn't have the personnel, the players, to really keep up in the SEC. They kind of had some dry years there recruiting-wise. I think now it's a different story this year. They feel like they have some meat up front. They'll be able to contend in the SEC.
First collegiate carry for Tyler Beatty. He's inside the 25, hit by Sherrod Pittman, and it's a gain of 8 for the 5'9", 190 freshman out of Briarcrest Christian High School in Memphis.
That was actually my rival in high school growing up. I was right across town, faced off against those guys every year. The same high school that was famously depicted as Michael Orr's high school on the blind side.
Off the hands of Hall. A short time ago, you saw Jonathan Johnson point at his helmet to come out of the game. It looks like he's really cramping up on the Mizzou sideline on this extremely hot day. We hope that's just the cramps. That's kind of what it appears to be from here.
Well, you see cramps a lot of times late in the game, but you don't often see cramps in the first quarter. I guess that's that's what happens when those misters get down. You got guys cramping already in the first quarter. We didn't realize how much we were relying on these things.
3rd down and 2. They bring Roundtree back in, and Locke looking to throw on 3rd and short, goes across the field and connects with Dominic Jacinto. There's another true freshman, Jacinto, with his first collegiate catch.
Yeah, Julie talked to us this week. He said he got 3 experienced starters, but past that, he's got 3 freshmen backing up all 3 starting wide receiver spots. Jacinto's one of those guys. Excited about this guy. They're also excited about Jalen Knox, another freshman who will see significant time this year.
Locke timing towards the end zone and incomplete for Nate Brown, which breaks up the topic of the new redshirt rule, which allows teams to play players for up to 4 games and still redshirt them.
I really like this rule. I think it'll come in handy in a lot of different cases. Obviously, you'll be able to see early in the year what you got in a certain player. But another thing that people don't think about is, let's say a guy gets hurt early in fall camp and maybe has an opportunity to come back and play in some of those last few games. Whereas earlier his red shirt would be burned, but now he'll be able to do that as long as he doesn't play 4 games. So I think it's a good rule. Haven't talked to a coach yet who's not in favor of this rule.
This is Roundtree off left tackle inside the 10, down near the 7-yard line. Gained 7. The helmet came off Roundtree, so he's going to have to come out.
So far, I've been really impressed by this offensive line and both of these backs we've seen today, Roundtree and Crockett, doing a nice job of moving these guys off the football with simple, direct runs right at the UT Martin defense, and they're really getting a lot of movement up front. I'm not seeing contact on the runner until 3 or 4 yards downfield, which if you ask a running back what he wants, that's what he wants. He wants a clean hole, able to get entry, able to get some speed up moving, and he'll do the rest. So so far the Missouri offensive line is doing their job.
Drew Locke asked for the timeout. Tigers have converted all 4 third down tries so far, but on a 3rd and 3 from the 7 coming up, the Tigers will use their first timeout. Drew Locke does have a touchdown pass so far in this game. That came on their 2nd drive to Hall, and here's his day so far.
Yeah, I've been really impressed so far with the touch. We talked about getting his completion percentage up in the open. So far they've gotten started with some nice easy throws. I've loved the balance I saw last year in Josh Heupel's offense. We saw a bunch of shots, a bunch of downfield shots, sometimes 10 or 12 a game. And we're still mixing in some shots, but I'm seeing some nice intermediate to short throws. As we see already is 8 for 11. That his accuracy numbers already improving here in the open. I really like what I've seen from Drew Locke today. He's in store for a monster season.
Now that's what he did in the opener last year against Missouri State with the Mizzou single game record 7 touchdown passes. And like we've been alluding to really here from the get-go, Barrett, his touchdown numbers could be down this year, yet him have a much better year.
No doubt. I think that's what everyone you talk to, they want to see wins. They can care less about the numbers. Drew Locke, he's on board for that, absolutely.
Locke towards the end zone. Albert, the grab. Jarred loose at the last moment.
They dropped it, but unfortunately for the Skyhawks, fortunately for Missouri, they're going to get UT Martin offside right here. Give him a free first down. Cannot do that for UT Martin.
Defense, number 35. Half the distance to the goal.
Got that on linebacker Kevin Prather.
First down.
First down by penalty, and as you see Alberto coming down, just lost him as he got to the ground.
Nice job of the defender ripping the ball out right there. But Alberto, we talked about, had 11 touchdowns last year, is an absolute weapon in the red area. We'll see a lot of touchdowns out of him. Drew Locke will be looking his way very often. You see this guy walking down the hallway. He is an absolute athletic freak.
Final seconds of this first quarter, and on 1st and goal for Hall, but nice defense there. Batted away by Devontae Mora. Well, I say nice defense, and as I do, the flag does come out from the side judge.
Thought he might get away with it right there, but I think he got him with that backhand. You know, a lot of times the referees look at that backhand.
Pass interference. Defense, number 2. The ball is placed at the 2-yard line, automatic first down.
Devontae Mora, who's in his first year with UTM, a transfer from Butler Community College.
And see, there's that left hand wrapped around. He did a good job with the right hand, reaching around and swatting. But you can't grab that left hand.
Roundtree trying to fight his way in, fell down just short of the goal line. I think that was James Gillian, linebacker, had the most contact on him to keep him from getting into the end zone. And that's going to take us to the end of the first quarter. But the Tigers found the end zone a couple of times in that first quarter, thanks to Crockett and Hall. Kickoff weekend in Columbia, 14-zip Mizzou. Into the second quarter from Faurot Field in Columbia, the Tigers leading 14-0. And we'll begin this second quarter with a second and goal from the 1. Well, we saw Jonathan Johnson earlier apparently trying to fight off some cramps. Get rehydrated.
I guarantee you, knowing a football locker room like I do, that the other guys on the team will be having a little fun with Jonathan Johnson on Monday about cramping up in the first quarter. It's gotta hydrate. Looked like he went to the locker room, probably gonna get an IV there, trying to get push some fluids in the system. I know I've had a few IVs at halftime, but I haven't ever had a case where I cramped in the first quarter. It's hot out there, though.
It is steamy, over 100 degrees on that artificial turf here at Memorial Stadium.
That's another good thing about this first game. You know, it's hard to simulate those game reps.
Roundtree bounces into the end zone, touchdown Mizzou on the first play of quarter number 2, 20-0 Tigers.
Yeah, nice way to start the second quarter right there for Missouri. Touchdown right there for Roundtree. These are valuable reps right here. You know, coaches love the fact that they're getting some nice goal line reps. Another situation that's extremely hard to simulate in practice. You know, there's a lot of bodies down there. You always want to take care of your guys a little bit. But valuable reps for later in the season when you're getting some goal line repetitions like that. So far, I've been extremely impressed with the execution of Missouri. That's what you're looking for in a first game, is how are they executing so far. Extremely sharp. New offensive coordinator, been very sharp on both sides of the football.
Let's check in with the studio. Darian Oka. Coach Pruitt, game 1 as a head coach at Knoxville, and go for it on 4th down. Look at the preseason AP top 10 with Bama up top. Keep a close eye on that Washington-Auburn game.
Yeah, that's the game that probably interested me the most of all the games today, was that Auburn-Washington game. Obviously, the top 10 matchup, but I really wasn't sure exactly what to expect from Auburn. You know, I really like Jared Stidham this year. I think he's going to have a fantastic year. But yeah, they lost Kerryon Johnson, lost a lot of guys up front in the offense and some defensive playmakers. But so far, Auburn looking good down there in Atlanta.
Returnable by Galloway to the 15, backs up, looking for some room. He'll be tackled at the 18. By the way, I failed to mention Penn State's trailing App State right now, 10-7. Remember what App State did to Michigan?
I do.
Back in 2007. Hey, you can stream college football all season long on ESPN Plus. Start your free trial today by downloading the ESPN app or visiting ESPNplus.com. And hey, all you UTM fans, you can find all but one of the UTM games this year beginning next week on ESPN Plus. The one that's not is on ESPN 3, which is the Eastern Illinois game. So up on to ESPN Plus. Starting field position for the Skyhawks this time is at their own 18-yard line. Jamie Bowe in the game as the back, and Dresser Wynn hands it to Bowe. Jamie Bowe is a guy who tore his Achilles in fall camp last year. They medical redshirted him. He, according to Coach Simpson, was a huge loss for them a year ago.
Yeah, another situation, Jason Simpson also feels like he has two really good backs. And keep in mind, this is a school that they're attempting to compete this year at the FCS level. They feel like they have a team that's good enough to make the playoffs and possibly make some noise in that FCS tournament.
Ball gets jarred loose. Cam Hilton comes away with it for the Tigers. He's tackled at the 32-yard line. Well, the catch was made by Devontae Howard, and he came towards the sideline, and a hit put on by Terry Petrie knocked it loose, and there was Cam Hilton to grab it.
Yeah, a huge point of emphasis for Ryan Walters and the defensive staff this year, creating more turnovers. You know, I'm not sure they did a whole lot to create that one, but they capitalized on the opportunity. A big part last year, very poor in turnover margin at -8. A big improvement so far. Have been very clean on offense, and here forcing a turnover earlier. Omar, I don't know about you, but I was extremely impressed with Ryan Walters, the defensive coordinator, a very young guy, 32 years old, the defensive coordinator for Missouri. He's a guy that's going places. He sat down with us and started talking football, and this guy is a very impressive young coach in this game.
Ryan Walters is 4th year on the Missouri staff. He is the defensive coordinator after being the co-DC last year. Alex has more on the defensive side. AC?
Well, defensive coordinator Ryan Walters says one of the biggest things is that the culture had changed. Previously, he saw, or from last year's team, there was just a lot of selfishness, that I, me mentality, but this year it was all about the team first. The coaching staff is just extremely close, and they feel that that translated to the players. And you can see that energy, you can feel it down here, guys.
Yeah, well, we talked to him yesterday. You know, he was very happy that the dust has kind of settled, so to speak. A tumultuous year last year for the defense. Luck throws out to the tight end, Kendall Blanton. He's tackled at the 33. Remember last year, he was the co-DC with DeMonte Cross. DeMonte, the DC, was fired after week 2, which was the South Carolina game. And then Ryan got thrown into the fire. And you got to keep in mind that Barry Odom is a defensive guy. And we even talked to Coach Odom, hey, is it hard to kind of keep your fingerprints off the defense? And he said, yes, it is. But I got a great guy in Ryan Walters.
Yeah, that's the impression I got. I got the impression that Odom kind of had to have a moment where he said, all right, I'm going to trust you with this, Ryan Walters, and I'm going to give you a shot to make this. And I feel like this is Ryan Walters' defense, not Barry Odom's.
Lots of time for Drew Lock to the end zone, and the adjustment made. Flag comes out, but the catch by Emmanuel Hall, touchdown Mizzou. Hall made a nice adjustment on that, coming back to the ball near the goal line. And the defender banged into him, which I believe is what brought out the flag. That being the defender, Antonio Clifton.
The players a touchdown.
Yeah, so far it's pretty obvious early in this game who Drew Lock's go-to guy is going to be this year, and that's Emmanuel Hall. Obviously, their leading returning receiver with 817 yards last year, but a great job right there, just adjusting his body, able to come back. Not the best throw by Drew Lock, maybe a little behind him, probably could have put it on his numbers, but a great body adjustment, making this guy, Drew Lock, look good.
31-yard touchdown reception by Emmanuel Hall, and the Tigers here early in the second quarter have a 28-0 lead.
Yeah, we talked about it. Drew Lock surveying the field, goes to his third option, and a great body adjustment on a back shoulder throw. Tigers are up early and looking extremely sharp early in this game.
Starting numbers for Drew Lock as his team up 28-0 on UTM here early in the second quarter. 10-13 with a couple of touchdown passes. Moving the touchdown pass moments ago for 31 yards to Emmanuel Hall. Darius Galloway, Peyton Logan back deep for the Skyhawks, and this will not be returnable. Let's take a look at my partner's top quarterbacks in the SEC.
I think the SEC this year is as deep as quarterback as they have been in a long time. You see, I have Jarrett Stidham there at the top of my list. I think he's going to have a monster this year for Auburn. I have Drew Lock coming in at number 2, and frankly, what I'm seeing today from Drew Lock, he could easily move into that number 1 spot. I think Tua Tagovailoa, I know he's had very limited experience, but I think he's an extremely talented guy who will ultimately get the nod. Obviously, we know about Jake Fromm, Nick Fitzgerald, another dual threat guy. Not even mention guys like Jake Bentley and Jordan Teamu, who had outstanding. Jordan Teamu looked really good this morning. The SEC is absolutely loaded at quarterback this season. But this guy right here, Drew Lock, could be the class of this league with the way he's playing early in this football game. He looks extremely comfortable in this offense. There was worries about how communication would go. Obviously, having a new offensive coordinator for his senior year, I'm impressed with what I've seen so far.
Well, they needed 104 yards passing coming in to pass Brad Smith for second all time in Mizzou history, and he has eclipsed that. He's over 130 yards passing so far today. Timeout on the field, but just a few minutes gone here in the second quarter. All right. On Monday, 7 Eastern, 6 Central, Thinking Out Loud. It's back for another season. Greg McElroy and Marcus Spears talk football and want your participation via social media throughout the show. You can also watch it live on the ESPN app. Hey, I don't want these guys to hear that, but actually it's a really good show. I enjoy watching those fellas.
I hope they don't hear that. I had 3 years, Mark, of having to listen to Greg McElroy think out loud in my direction a little too often. So.
Here's Dresser Wynn on the pitch. The option to Terry Williams. He's hit hard late out of bounds by Christian Holmes, the cornerback. They're going to tack on the personal foul. And we see a little option look from UTM, just trying to find something they can hang their hat on here offensively.
Got to find something. But Missouri talked about coming out and being a physical, imposing defense, but obviously it's not the way to do it, giving UT Martin a free 15 yards on that play right there. Got to be physical, but got to do it within the lines and between the whistles.
Well, first down. He's going to take it all the way out to the 45 thanks to the penalty.
Probably the first mistake we've seen this Missouri defense make all day. Been extremely sound technically and fundamentally.
Second penalty on the Tigers. The pass is caught for a first down at the Mizzou 42 by Terry Williams. Terry Williams, we mentioned earlier, JUCO transfer. Great numbers in Itawamba Community College.
If you're a Martin fan, that's what you see a lot of right there, kind of this RPO game, run pass option.
Caught by Ben Phillips, and had he not stepped out of bounds right near the sideline, he might have found the end zone there.
Yeah, Terry Petrie kind of took a risk right there and thought he might have one going the other direction. Almost cost his team. If you're going to do that, if you're a defensive back, coaches always say you better be right if you're going to jump in front of the ball. If you're wrong, it cost your team 6 points.
Pass down to Terry Williams, gets a block on the edge, and then hit out of bounds at the 27 by Khalil Oliver. But right now, UTM's got their best offensive flow going so far today.
They do. Nice to see, I know, for Mizzou fans, Khalil Oliver making a play. A guy who transferred out from Oregon, who a lot of people think will have a big impact early. See, he's getting some run in the nickel and dime packages so far today.
Wynn under pressure, now takes off, and is dropped at the 25 by Kobe Whiteside.
When you run a tempo offense, so much about a tempo offense is getting the first down. One thing you'll notice is oftentimes extremely difficult to get that first down, but once you get it, it's so easier to get rolling. UT Martin, so you got a few first downs here, now playing with a little more confidence. Really same goes for Missouri though, getting that first down. And one thing that Barry Odom talked about is there were far too many 3-and-outs last year that left the defense in a tough situation where they didn't really have much time to rest, something they want to correct this season.
Third and a long 2 for the Skyhawks, and they want a timeout. Still 11 minutes to play here in the first half. Skyhawks timeout, and we'll step aside in Columbia. Here's a peek at our SEC headlines. Bama #1 again, 3rd straight year for them to be the preseason favorite. How about the big matchups in week 1? Really keeping an eye on that Washington-Auburn matchup. And Texas A&M, Jimbo Fisher's debut. A lot of good offense there, 59-7 for the Aggies.
Yeah, Texas A&M was impressive, but how about Ole Miss? I mean, a really nice showing this morning from Georgetown. A big Power 5 win, Texas Tech. That's a quality win on their schedule.
Tennessee Martin's burned all 3 of their timeouts now here in the first half. And a handoff to Galloway. He's stuffed in the backfield by Jordan Elliott, and a loss of 2.
The ball carrier.
It's going to bring up 4th down. First 4 possessions for UTM, only 37 yards of total offense and 1 first drive for 1 first down. But This drive had been moving until that right there. They had 50 yards and 3 first down. And they're going to go for it on 4th and 3 for the Mizzou 27. Dresser Wynn steps up. Rolling out right side, fires and finds a man inside the 10. That is a completion to Jamie Bowe, and it's 1st and goal UTM.
Gotta love it, Jason Simpson, nothing to lose. A little riverboat gambling right here, 4th and 3. Your team's down 28. You're an FCS team. Nice job right there by Dresser Wynn making a play, getting the ball out to one of his playmakers.
Driving towards the end zone, and he is, no signal yet, Jamie Bowe. Apparently just short.
Marking just short. Might have had that knee down. It's going to be, I wonder if they'll take another look at this. It was extremely close. He did end up in the end zone. Not sure if that knee was down or not. Regardless, a great drive so far by UT Martin as they're marching down the field. A big 4th down conversion. Good chance here to put some points on the board.
2nd down and goal from inside the Mizzou 1. Wynn hands off and fighting, keeping the legs moving. Touchdown, UTM. So Jamie Bowe, they let him finish things off, and he picks up his first touchdown as a Skyhawk.
Yeah, no doubt he got in the end zone there. A nice job by Jamie Bowe. You said it, the coaches were excited to get this guy back.
First touchdown this year, I should say. He had 7 rushing touchdowns a couple of years ago after the year off last year for the injury.
Well, I'm sure it's a welcome sign to get back in the end zone. You know, when you're coming off an injury like that, you really can never know how healthy you are until you really get in there and get some game action. So I know it feels good for Jamie Bowe to get in there, shake off some game action.
Ryan Courtright with the point after, and UTM on the board. Still 9.5 minutes to play, first half. Which is Chris Starr. You see in just a bit at the half. 9:34 to play here in quarter number 2 from Mizzou after a 75-yard drive for UTM. A 1-yard touchdown run for Jamie Bowe has gotten them on the board. And the touchback will kick it out to the 25.
I get the sense here that maybe the lights were a little bright for UTM coming in here to a big SEC stadium. Obviously had some experience last year, but a lot of new guys. But I was impressed what they did that drive. They really settled down and made some football plays. You see here Missouri, their first drive's extremely effective and efficient on their four drives, all ending with touchdowns, with 2 on the ground and 2 from the air. An extremely balanced attack so far from the Missouri Tigers offense, and pretty much as advertised what we heard from Derek Dooley and Barry Odom with what the offense would look like. Some of the old and some of the new. Been impressive so far.
True freshman Tyler Beatty comes into the backfield for the Tigers. And Locke puts it in the belly of Beatty, and the freshman advances it a couple of yards to the 27.
Yeah, you get the sense they're pretty excited about this guy, Beatty. See Locke's numbers, they had a really solid game so far, 10 of 13. It's a number I'm going to keep an eye on all day. I want to see him completing more balls. He's done it today, 134 yards, already 2 touchdowns.
2 TD passes, both to Emmanuel Hall, 1 for 34 and 1 for 31 yards. And here's Drew Locke to throw. He's going deep down the far side. His man has a step, and that's gathered and caught by guess who? Emmanuel Hall. He's dragged down inside the 15 by Devontae Mara.
Well, we talked about Drew Locke's go-to guy this year. Obviously lost Jamon Moore last year to the NFL. But Emmanuel Hall is going to be running past a lot of people like he just did right there. You can't leave one-on-one coverage, especially in press coverage like that. Drew Locke's got far too good of an arm, and Emmanuel Hall has far too much speed. That's a connection we're going to see a lot this season.
62-yard pickup. First down Tigers at the 12.
Always love those long pass plays as an offensive lineman. Some free yards, you can jog down the field, reach your guy on.
Locke takes a shot, incomplete, off the hands of the tight end, Albert Okwuegbunam.
They got a lot of weapons on this offense. That's what I've seen so far. I mean, talking the open about Alberto. Emmanuel Hall, you see his numbers there, 3 catches, 127 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jonathan Johnson, Another guy who's a weapon. Unfortunately, he's cramping. Nate Brown's a guy who's solid in the backfield. We've already seen 3 running backs, Demaria Crockett, Larry Roundtree, and the freshman Tyler Beatty. So a bunch of weapons on this Missouri offense.
Here is the aforementioned Beatty straight ahead inside the 10, about the 9, a 4-yard gain for the freshman from Memphis. You know, we were talking about the freshman rule, the new red shirt rule, and we mentioned that to Barry Odom. He said, you know what, the new rule's great, but Beatty, Knox, Jacinto, we're probably all going to play more than 4 games anyway for Mizzou this year.
Yeah, Beatty's a guy they're excited about. You get the sense they're getting him some play early in this game for one reason. That's because they want him to help him.
Throw to the back of the end zone, incomplete for Nate Brown. That play had kind of a weird beginning to it. A nice coverage by Andrew Horton Martindale, a 5th-year senior for UTM.
Might see some confusion there on the snap count, but again, Drew Lock doing what he does best, making plays. Nice play there by the defender to break that up, or Drew Lock would have had his 3rd touchdown on the day.
Nate Brown looking for his first touchdown catch since 2015. And Tucker McCann, a 27-yard attempt off the left hash out of the hole to Corey Tony. And he knocks that through. Tucker, who was 15 of 17 last year in field goal attempts, hits his first attempt of 2018. And a 31-7 Mizzou lead with just over 8 minutes to play in the first half. Well, Mizzou scores that through the south end zone, and that new south end zone is going to feature a football operations area. As we take a look at the construction going on, there'll be staff locker rooms, a hydrotherapy area, recovery pools, locker rooms, team and position meeting rooms. It's going to be set and ready a year from now, a little less than a year from now. Let's take a look at some of the renderings of what it will look like on the inside.
Looking pretty nice in there for some new Tigers. See a nice new fancy weight room and team room, and they've got that hydrotherapy lounge. That's always nice after a tough day of practice. This is the big thing right now, is recruits care about this stuff and wanting to see. Missouri and Barry Odom have made it clear, that they want to win here. They want to win big. So to do that, you gotta keep building and renovating, and they're doing just that with this $98 million renovation. It's going to look extremely nice when everything gets finished in that end zone.
This is going to be returnable from the 3 by Peyton Logan, the sophomore out of Horn Lake, Mississippi. A late flag in as he's tackled up by the 30.
I'm seeing more and more of that these days. That's a technical observation I've made, is that more and more people.
Personal foul, blocking below the waist on the return team, number 7, half the distance to the goal, first down.
More and more teams professionally and collegiately are kind of going to the model where they're putting their team room, a lot of their meeting rooms connected to the stadium, kind of a 2-in-1 function, making it a little more efficient. I think it's going to look extremely nice.
That gentleman on the top of the crane.
There you go. Best seat in the house.
He must have some next level access to get up there to be available.
That is a hard hat area right there. That's nice. We need to get that guy a camera. That's the best view right there from an O-lineman perspective. It's that high end zone.
Thinking some good TV up there.
I love the high end zone. It's a great camera angle. It's all I ever watched.
Dresser Wynn passing on first down. The screen, Terry Williams, but well read. He breaks a tackle, and Williams spinning around, still on his feet before he's tackled at the 23. And Mizzou fortunate that Khalil Oliver got him by the ankles to bring him down because he was refusing to go down.
Terry Williams is going to make some plays this year for the Skyhawks. There's no doubt. That guy is lightning in the bottle anytime he touches the football. I know defensive coordinator Ryan Walters will be extremely frustrated to see that. We talked about one thing in the open is improving in tackling. Been pretty solid so far, but that was not a very good exhibition in tackling right there.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, unnecessary rough number 78 on the offense, half the distance to the goal, first down.
That's on tackle Austin Newsom. It's still going to be a first down, but that's really going to eat into what was going to be a 13-yard gain for Terry Williams.
Yeah, sometimes you get a little overzealous there. I'm always going to take it easy on the O-lineman. I'm never going to.
We're going to break you of that habit.
It was probably was a bad call. I didn't even see it, but it was probably a bad call.
We're going to break you of that habit
sure.
as we move along.
They penalize, O-linemen all the time for extra effort and energy, trying to finish a play, going to throw a flag, so we don't hurt the defender's feelings. Very common in the game these days.
So it's 1st and 10 from the 11. Dresser wins pass, and guess who? Goes right back out to Terry Williams. That time dropped at the 12. A minimal gain by DeMarcus Acey. Glad to have you with us. I'm Mark Neely, along with former Alabama and St. Louis Ram offensive lineman Barrett Jones. Alex Cordery down on the field. A hot Saturday for the opener of the season for Mizzou and UTM. Win, chase, throws, slings it towards the sideline, and a ball that Jordan Elliott is using some good coverage to pressure Win and incompletion.
Yeah, I've been very impressed with Jordan Elliott so far. A Texas transfer. See him avoiding the cut block right there. He's a guy the coaches talked about, really wanting to see somebody else in that interior defensive line other than Terry Beckner stepping up and making meaningful plays. And so far in this football game, we've seen a tackle for a loss and an early pressure right there by Jordan Elliott. We know he's a talented guy, high recruit out of high school. Didn't work out at Texas, but so far is really having a solid game here under Barry Odom and Mizzou.
That's the first time Dresser Wynn's been hit. Devontae Howard to the 21, right near the first down marker. Brandon Lee on the coverage and the tackle from Mizzou. 8-yard gain.
Tough to hit a guy, Mark, when he's getting the ball out of his hands. And about 0.8 seconds every time. A lot of these quick screens, quick hitting plays. It can be frustrating for a defensive line, too, when quarterback's getting the ball out of his hands very quickly. A lot of times kind of get the mentality of why even rush if he's going to get the ball out of his hands. But Mizzou's got to do a nice job of keeping their foot on the pedal and trying to get pressure on the quarterback.
They gained 8 on 3rd and 9, so it's 4th and 1. Bring out the punting unit. UTM would like it measured.
From our vantage point here, Mark, it's not going to be a very close measurement. It looks like he's almost
length of a football short.
At least a half yard short here. Maybe not. Famous last words, I guess. Got nervous there for a second.
Yeah, it's about maybe half of a football length short.
Yeah.
Football length short.
It's kind of doubting Jason Simpson there for a second. Good move to measure that football. I wonder if that was probably a lot of times the coaching ploy. Try to give him a little more time to think about if he might had a play in the playbook that he felt confident in picking up a half yard, but looks like he's going to keep the punting unit out on the field.
Zane Cox to punt. We've seen Zane Cox as well as Joseph Foley punting for UT Martin today. Jonathan Johnson standing at the Mizzou 35.
Good to see Jonathan Johnson back on the field after some early cramps.
And a rugby punt. It'll land at the 45, and Johnson's going to let it roll. And it'll be down at the 31. It's a pretty good punt that time from Zane Cox. 47 yards. Well, Mizzou's been finding the end zone.
They have. Drew Lock's been extremely very efficient so far. They've been efficient on the ground and in the air, but I really like the way Drew Lock has thrown the deep ball so far. 3 for 4 for 127 yards. All 3 of those passes go into one guy, Emmanuel Hall. And then the defense forcing them some turnovers here, finding a way to get their hands on the football. A point of emphasis for these guys coming into this football game. So far, Missouri been very clean on both sides of the football. Well, except for one drive. Here's one of those deep balls we talked about to Emmanuel Hall. Nice back shoulder throw there for an early touchdown. Lock's been extremely sharp so far.
And here's Drew Lock running. Yeah, I think that's the same comment a lot of Mizzou fans were thinking. Oh, okay. Antonio Clifton with the tackle, a 5-yard rush for Drew Lock.
Did have 44 carries last year, but only 111 yards. Not really known as a guy who's extremely nimble, can pick up yards when he needs to.
First time he has run the ball today. Now from the empty backfield, Drew Lock on a 2nd down and 5 finds Johnson. He stopped for a minimal gain up to the 45. He does pick up 3. A gain of 8, and that is a first down.
Yeah, early in the game, it seemed like Missouri really wanted to establish their run, get their backs going. Now we're seeing a bunch of receivers on the field. But
Nate Brown this time on the near side, right near midfield.
This is the way those games go. This is not by coincidence. You see something like this from offensive coordinator Derek Dooley. You know, you want to see all the different things your offense can do early on. Seeing a lot of pro sets and even some 2 tight end sets. Now we're seeing empty and 1 back with 4 receivers on the field. Kind of an opportunity to spread them out. You want to kind of get your guys in different situations, particularly when you're playing maybe against a lower quality opponent. You want to get different looks versus different offenses.
2nd and 5. Finds Nate Brown once again for a first down to the 42-yard line of UTM, an 8-yard gain.
That's good for a first down.
Mizzou has never lost to an FCS team. They're 17-0 against the FCS. Lock hands off to Crockett. Crockett had the first score of the game, a 9-yard touchdown run. Rambles for 5 yards there.
Yeah, this offense looks more like what we saw last year from Drew Lock under Josh Heupel, kind of the spread 1 back, very few tight ends, showing that we can do it all. Missouri's got all the looks. We asked Derek Dooley what his offense would look like. He said multiple looks.
Crockett inside the 35 to the 34. Right there by Andrew Horton Martindale.
Third and
down
3
here
35
for Missouri.
3rd and 2. They're 5 of 6 on 3rd down today. And they get a free play after UTM jumped offside, taking a shot, and Nate Brown is thrown down by Andrew Horton Martindale. So there'll be a couple of penalties to sort out there, both benefiting the Tigers.
Yeah, it's something that kind of Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady patented. It's really made its way collegiately. As you see the hard count, you know, in the old days of the hard count, you kind of would just take the 5 yards and move on. But kind of the new trend in football. So we'll see this call here down on the field from referee Hubert Owens.
Defense, penalty is declined. Pass interference, defense, 15 yards, automatic first down.
Yeah, the new trend is, you know, you give the center the ability to snap the football. As soon as he sees one of those guys jump offside, he snaps the football. And the receivers are told, no matter what the play call is, you run a go route. Run a go route, run down the field, and if you're Drew Lock, you take a shot. You see right here the go routes. Got kind of a certain play. It's something you practice a lot. Doesn't just happen.
Crockett pulled down just outside the 10. James Gillian. Penalties against UTM for 63 yards.
Cannot do that if you're a less talented team coming into a hostile environment trying to get a win. Can't shoot yourself in the foot for 8 penalties and a half.
2nd and short, 2nd and 1. Roundtree's in as the back. A couple of receivers up top. One down low, that being Jalen Knox. Looking in Knox's direction. Incomplete. Jalen Smith, quarterback with the coverage for UTM.
That was a run-pass option there for Drew Lock. I've already seen several of those in this game where they give Drew Lock the option to hand it off or throw it. He sees a one-on-one matchup he likes. He's liable to take it down and throw it and give his guy a chance to make a play. That's what he did right there. Unfortunately, just over the outstretched arms of Jalen Knox. That's something we'll see a lot this season from Mizzou. For those run-pass options.
The 3rd and 1, Roundtree will have the first down. It'll be 1st and goal Mizzou at the 6.
First down and goal.
And there you see the challenge right there of this multiple offense that can present to a defense. A few plays ago we saw an empty formation, and now we have 3 tight ends on the field. I think that's what Derek Dooley brings to this offense, is those multiple looks, able to line up under center and short yardage, pound it out for a yard behind that big offensive line. And here we go again with 3 tight ends.
Here comes Roundtree again, but he is wrapped up.
Roundtree, the ball carrier.
Minimal gain by Kevin Prather at the 10th play of this drive. You mentioned Derek Dooley and
Kevin Prather.
his first season as the Mizzou offensive coordinator, a guy who's been a head
Second and
coach
goal
in the
at the
SEC
5.
and Tennessee, but it's the first time he's been an offensive coordinator, which is a bit unusual.
Yeah, we asked Derek Dooley, we said, why? Why leave the NFL and come back and try to be a coordinator? And I think he just wanted a challenge. He wanted a challenge of a chance to come back and be a coordinator and have success.
Lock throws towards the end zone. Hanging on, did he get it down in time? Jonathan Johnson, touchdown Mizzou. I think he's feeling better.
There's no doubt a great job by Locke right there, identifying the coverage. You saw man coverage, kind of a little smash concept, a very common concept, especially in the red area where the outside receiver runs kind of a stop route, and you have the inside receiver run a corner route, and you tell the quarterback to throw it up to that back pylon. A fantastic throw by Drew Locke right there.
And his third touchdown pass of this first half. The Tigers have scored on every possession, all but one of the possessions touchdowns, and one field goal for Tucker McCann, who's on for the PAT here. He makes it 38-7 with 2:43 to play in the first half.
Yeah, we talked about this smash concept right here, a very common concept in the red area where the outside receiver runs that, and you have the inside receiver running a little quarter route, especially against man-to-man. A very tough thing to cover in the red area. Nice job by Drew Locke, seeing the coverage, throwing it to that back pylon. He threw it a little bit behind him, but good enough for a touchdown. You see Drew Locke got the ball to his hands, immediately knew he was going to go with the football. You know, that's something, obviously, as a quarterback, you want to be open to throwing other places, but sometimes you see something in coverage that's just too good to pass up. You know where you're going with the ball immediately, and that's kind of a timing route. Quarterbacks and receivers practice hundreds and hundreds of times, but you throw that ball a lot of times before that receiver even gets out of his break. Kind of throw it towards that pylon, and it was beautifully executed right there by Locke and Johnson for another score.
So a 38-7 lead for Mizzou. Just over 2.5 minutes remaining in the first half. Terry Williams and Peyton Logan back to receive this kick for UTM. Logan takes a knee. Hey, make sure you join Marty Smith and Ryan McGee right here on the SEC Network every Thursday, 7 Eastern, 6 Central, starting this coming week. Marty and McGee. And it also streams live on the ESPN app.
I cannot believe they gave those two guys a show right there. Those guys are absolute characters. I've gotten a chance to spend some time with both of those guys, but particularly Marty spends a lot of time down in Alabama, and he's a lot of fun. He's a character, that's for sure.
Those guys were fun at the SEC coaches meeting, the coaches day. They were. They got them all together.
Yep.
Fun to watch that show. Plays stopped right at the snap. The referee today, Hubert Owens.
Offense, number 3, 5-yard penalty, first down.
First time we've seen that, and is what they're doing in college football this year to help kind of speed up the game times is as soon as the point after goes through the uprights, the play clock starts.
Right. Yeah, and Jason Simpson, I know, will be extremely frustrated with his team. Already 9 penalties in this first half, and he'll tell them that has nothing to do with your opponent. You got to go out there and execute cleanly. You can't have 9 penalties in the half of any football game.
Option to Ladarius Galloway, able to get back to the original line of scrimmage prior to that 5-yard penalty. Second down and 10.
At the 25.
Mid hands off, Galloway straight ahead to the 32-yard line. Brought down by Terez Hall.
We talked a lot about Galloway in the open. They've done a really nice job so far, bottling him up, keeping him contained. And again, that Missouri front seven takes a lot of pride in stopping him run.
Takes the handoff to Galloway. Wynn being pursued and throws it out of bounds. Cale Garrett is the one getting after Wynn.
Yeah, nice job right there by Cale Garrett. Kind of came on a delayed blitz. Very effective thing. A lot of middle linebackers do. Got a little pressure on Dresser Wynn to force an incompletion and set up another punt for the Skyhawks. A great job so far by this Missouri defense. Has been extremely clean so far, other than really that one drive where they had kind of some mental lapses, allowed a 4th down conversion. But other than that, it's been a very clean day.
Mizzou knew that Ladarius Galloway ran for 188 yards last year at Ole Miss. He has 4 carries for 16 yards today. Wants it back inside the Mizzou 20 to receive this punt. And And another delay of game.
Number 49, 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
Ten penalties now, 73 yards.
Another penalty.
Against UTM in this first half.
Got to work out the kinks first week of the season. See a lot of those careless penalties, but haven't seen many for Mizzou.
Johnson from the 29, and hit, bounce back, staying on his feet. And a reverse course, still giving ground. This isn't going in the right direction for Mizzou and Johnson. He's tackled at the 14. Hey, coming up at halftime, you can watch the live performance of Marching Mizzou on SEC Network Plus. You can start streaming now on the ESPN app.
Already seen several people down on the field who, cameramen and all kind of people, kind of getting carted away from heat. You know, some of those tuba players carrying those big tubas, hopefully they're well hydrated for their performance.
Going with the shorts today. That's a good call.
That's a big
Marching
move.
Mizzou.
Right, good move by the coordinator. All kind of guys cramping out here on the field today.
Khalil Oliver and coming off on special teams.
Yeah, we talked about it. You know, as hard as you train in the off season, it's tough to simulate on your body that game speed and what it's like to be in a football game. You know, a football game is so unique physically when you think about over a 3-hour span, sometimes 3.5 hour, starting and stopping and having to be able to output so much energy in short little spurts. It's a very odd thing for your body, and it takes a while to get in condition, particularly in these early hot games.
Block underneath, Roundtree. And tackled at 10 at the 12-yard line, and that's going to lose 4 or 5 yards. Joseph Murray, nose tackle with stop there, and there's a UTM player down.
I tried to set up a little middle screen there. I think Coach Dooley might follow that one in the back of the playbook there.
That's James Gillian, the 5th-year senior linebacker for UT Martin. They do not want to see him have issues. He's such a valuable player, led their team with 88 tackles last year. 4-year starter. You saw him last year in their game at Ole Miss. He played well in that, had a sack.
Yeah, we talked about in the open, the key to this 3-3-5 defense is that linebacking core. Those guys have to be able to play a lot of different spots and kind of be all over the field, give you some odd looks, and have to really understand what they're doing. This guy's really the heart of this defense. 88 tackles last season. Just hope he's okay.
Last play, take a look. Kind of late.
Not sure what that was there. Never want to speculate.
Heat index right near 100 degrees, and that doesn't include on the field, on the artificial turf here. Good to see Gillian get to his feet. Hoping it's just a cramping issue. Yeah, he's looking better walking off the field.
Tell you what, the busiest people in the stadium, other than maybe the concession workers at halftime, are going to be the paramedics. Those are the guys who administer the IVs normally, and I guarantee you they are queuing up those saline bags right now. There's going to be several guys receiving some injections at halftime of saline to try to bolster those fluids in there, because it is hot out here on the field. It's a little hot in our booth.
115 degrees on the field right now.
That's right.
The last play, a negative play for Mizzou, their 3rd negative play of the half of 45 total plays. And a run for Roundtree. Gets a little breathing room for the Tigers across the 20 to the 22 before he's tripped up by Porter Streeter.
Roundtree, a guy who kind of was thrust into action last year after Demaria Crockett went down. Had a really nice season, 700 yards. I've been very impressed with him so far, both in the run game and catching the football. I think, to me, looks like a guy who will catch a lot of balls this year out of the backfield as well. I'm impressed with these Missouri running backs so far today.
Back into the hands of the running back, Demaria Crockett. Couple of yards. Gillian's back in the game, number 50, and he made the tackle there. Good to see him there for UTM.
probably take us to halftime here.
Final seconds winding down. Mizzou doesn't appear to be interested in running another play. They will get the football to start the second half. The Tigers will, as they won the opening toss in the third. And pretty good first half for Drew Lock.
Absolutely, a great first half for Drew Lock. A very clean half for Mizzou in general. 16 for 22, 218 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's a pretty solid half of football right there. It'll be interesting to see kind of how much Drew Lock we see in this second half.
So here at the half, Mizzou 38 and Tennessee UT Martin 7. It's going to take care of half number 1 here at Faurot Field in Columbia. Let's send you to the studio.
Hurry, Jalen.
Coach Odom, what have you liked about this balanced attack in the first half?
Well, hey, look, offensively, we've played a little more run heavy than we maybe thought we were going to. Just the way that the box has been and the way that we've lined up in different formations. So we blocked pretty well at the point of attack. Drew has done a nice job on connecting down the field, and we need to come out and start really fast the second half.
On the other side of the ball, what have you learned about your defense after this first half?
I think we've got some speed. We've got to make sure that when we get in position, we're going to go finish the play. A couple times out on open field, got in a little bit of a hurry, but we communicated well. We were assignment sound. On snap footwork was pretty solid, and need to have a great second half.
Coach, your players wouldn't, or the scoreboard wouldn't show it, but the heat, how has it impacted your players?
It's sunny and 75 is the way we're approaching it. It's an awesome day at the park.
Love it. Thank you.
Are you ready? Enjoy Andy's at 2 locations.
Hello, I'm head football coach Barry Otis. We all want to see the Tigers succeed, and that means following the NCAA rules. Boosters are restricted from having contact with prospective student athletes and may not provide any preferential treatment or extra benefits to prospective or current Mizzou student athletes. Remember, ask before you act by contacting the Mizzou Compliance Office.
Zimmer Radio Marketing Group, including 100.5 and 15.2 GR. 6-7 KCMQ. Tiger. Partners, Broadway Hotel, sponsors of the Hockey Hall. You Healthcare, sponsors of the Football.
Goes center. Deep handoff Landry running right into the end zone. Touchdown, Missouri. 8 seconds in the half. The Tigers extend the lead. Just 29 on a 1-yard launch by Larry Landry third. Second down, it's an receiver screen and Bowie. He loses the football, picked up by Cam Hilton at the 31. Along the right side, hitting the 31 and brought down there. Blocked. He takes the snap last time, leading line down the road. Touchdown Missouri, and a flag on the way. Far side of the end zone. Touchdown Missouri.
This is confirmation from Mizzou. We've got something to say. Show me the truth.
Charged with activities and pre-game entertainment for fans of all ages. It's the next week, the Series features Ha-Ha. It begins at 4:15 next Saturday. Tigertown open 3 hours prior to kick. Concert starts Tiger Walk. This year, the attorneys at Lady outstanding student athletes. Green Stripe Club, no one is looking. Move up beyond socially, academically, and athletically. The attorneys at Lady Engage. Proudly serving Missouri businesses since 1973. On the board now.
Do you want me to throw the score in since we don't? Okay. Yeah. Hey, do you want jackets in the, on camera? You cool with, okay, so we can go without jackets? No, if you don't want them, we can put them on if you want. I'm with you. Yeah, we'll leave them on. I said Eric's orange, and I said it's all his idea. He said you guys can wear short. Yeah. You're watching coverage of college football as UT Martin is taking on Missouri. It's halftime here at Faurot Field with Mizzou leading UTM 38-7. We'll be back with second half action after these messages. Welcome back to opening weekend in the SEC Network. We're jumping about to start the second half at Faurot Field in Columbia. 38-7 Mizzou leading a team out of the Ohio Valley Conference, UT Martin. Glad you could join us on this Saturday. Alex Cordry down on the field. This is three-time national champ at Alabama, Barrett Jones. I'm Mark Neely. Got to start with Drew Lock. What'd you see first half?
A great first half from Drew Lock. Came out, executed extremely well. But I think it's very clear Drew Lock found his favorite target, right? Yeah. Had a lot of success last year. It's Emmanuel Hall. Had over 700 yards last year. But one thing we talked about Drew Lock does really well is he throws a great deep ball. I would say 42 yards per completion on average. That's a pretty good average right there for Emmanuel Hall. 2 touchdowns, 3 catches, 127 yards. A great first half for Drew Lock and Emmanuel Hall.
Tigers to get the ball to start the second half, and it's going to come out to the 25.
Be interesting to see just how long they leave Drew Lock in the game there as you see Emmanuel Hall's numbers. 42 yards a catch. That's getting it done right there. That's using that SEC speed.
Yeah, the 7 touchdowns last year, but in the first half in the opener had 5 of his 7 touchdown passes. 3 TD passes in half number 1 today. Swung out. This is Crockett out of the backfield. Gets a nice block on the edge. And nice. This flag comes out as he's tackled at the 32.
Could get a holding call there on Big Albert O, but I think the Drew Lock's going to need the defense to give up a few touchdowns like last year if he wants to get to 7 touchdowns today. I don't foresee him staying in the game long enough to.
There's no foul for an illegal block in the back. Second down.
Okue Bunam not called for a penalty. So the play stands. That's a 7-yard gain, second down and 3.
That's what you talk about at halftime. You go in, you make some adjustments, you see what the defense is giving you, and you script a nice few plays here to see if you can go out here and execute. And the coaches are always hesitant to talk about it, but you do want your offense to come out here and execute so that you can get those 2s and 3s a little running experience.
This is Crockett off right tackle. Going to be just short of the first down. Your point's a good one, though, Barrett, because you think back last year, the Tiger staff, I'm sure, hoped in the opener against Missouri State they could bring in the 2s and 3s to get some experience, but they couldn't because it was a shootout.
They give up 43 points. It's hard to bring in the backups.
They won 72-43, and if they're able to put up some points here in this third quarter, perhaps for the first time in a couple of seasons, because they weren't able to do it at any point last year, they get a chance to see those 2s and 3s, get some experience.
It's really hard to put a price tag on just how valuable those reps can be for 2s and 3s. I remember as a freshman getting some snaps there early in my freshman year, and really gave me some confidence going into my second year, kind of getting the feel of what SEC lights were like.
Well, the jet sweep to Jalen Knox is sniffed out by Andrew Horton Martindale in a loss of 6.
A lot of teams you see run that jet sweep action. Every once in a while you got to give it to the jet sweep, man. Keep them honest. Not that time.
Yeah, from the empty backfield. Lots of time for Locke. Taking a shot across the middle and a leaping catch. It's brought down by Cam Scott. And on his first collegiate catch, the freshman goes to the end zone. Touchdown Mizzou. 70-yard touchdown reception. Mizzou had 4 true freshmen in the game at that snap, and one of them, Cam Scott, with a touchdown catch. It's touchdown pass number 4 today for Drew Lock.
We talked about Drew Lock. Throws a great deep ball. Another big bomb from Drew Lock. Really throws that nice tight spiral. Very impressive so far. On deep balls today, 4 of 5, 197 yards and 3 touchdowns.
How would you like your first collegiate reception to be a 70-yard taking it to the house? Cam Scott's got one he will never forget.
Okay, so let's take another look here at that touchdown pass by Drew Lock. A very common play, 4 verticals right here.
This time right here, he runs out of 5 wide receivers. You got 4 verticals and 1 underneath route, and it really stresses those 2 safeties right there. Makes them make a decision. A great identification by Drew Lock, finds his open man for a 70-yard touchdown by number 13, Cam Scott. Again, his first catch of his career turns into a 70-yard touchdown, but it's a very unique formation. A nice throwing catch there by Drew and Lock.
Terry Williams from the 1 takes it across the 20 to the 24. I really like Cam Scott's size. He's 6'2", and the speed, and we saw both on display there with his first collegiate catch.
I can imagine Cam Scott will probably be getting some kind of memorabilia there for his shelf. First catch goes for a 70-yard touchdown. That's a pretty nice one to have there. Pretty good memory. A lot more catches to come based on the way the coaching staff were talking about this young freshman.
That's really kind of been the other story besides Drew Lock from Mizzou is the freshman receiver. Obviously, Hall's had a big day of veteran, but seeing guys like Cam Scott step up. Also, Jalen Knox getting some opportunities, and Tyler Beatty at that running back spot. This is Galloway coming near side. He's going to be stepping out at about the 25.
Coach Odom talked about how much he liked this freshman class. He was excited about a lot of these guys. Probably the position he was most excited about was wide receiver, obviously, with Cam Scott, guys like Jalen Knox and Dominic Jacinto. They've got some firepower in years to come. It really can't, again, put a price tag on how valuable this experience is for some of these young guys. Not a whole lot of depth at the wide receiver position as far as experience goes. Good to get these guys some reps early on in the season.
Cale Garrett brings down Ladarius Galloway after a 6-yard gain. Darius Galloway has not been the factor today so far that he was in their game at Ole Miss a year ago. 5 of 22 for Galloway. 22 yards rushing. It's going to be a first down. It's just enough for Galloway up to the 35.
I expect that to be the strength of this defense all season. I really like what I've seen from this front 7. This is going to be a much improved unit this season under Ryan Walters. Much more continuity. Again, Barry Odom kind of handing the reins off to his young 32-year-old defensive coordinator Ryan Walters and letting him run this show. And so far, I've liked what I've seen. And it's not just the effectiveness. I've liked the execution. That's what I'm looking for in these early games, is how well these guys are executing. And so far, they've executed at a high level.
There is Ryan Walters. He was a safety at Colorado in his collegiate days. And the Mizzou defensive coordinator, let's face it, the last really couple of seasons, the secondary's been an issue. And he says, hey, this year, the secondary will be improved.
He did. If you're a football junkie, mark this guy's name down, because I have a feeling you're going to be seeing this guy in some high-profile jobs. He's only 32 years old. I have a feeling he's going places, whether that's a big coordinator job in a few years or possibly a head coaching job somewhere down the road. I really like this guy. I think he's a great young mind. You know, coaches love great young minds, right? Everybody wants to hire a good young guy. A lot of energy in recruiting. You know, players love playing for young coaches, right? I mean, they love playing for a guy they can respect, who understands the things they've gone through, particularly a guy who played the game at a high level himself. So the players respond to people like that. Coaching staffs are always looking for people like that.
Yes, win on 3rd and 5, pulls it back down. Everybody covered, and Terez Hall drops him for a loss of a couple of yards.
There's Terez Hall. We talked about him in the first quarter. Haven't called his name too much since, but I think he's maybe outside of Terry Beckner, one of the most talented players on this roster, and should be a leader this year for the Tigers.
First Mizzou sack of the game goes to Terez Hall. Jonathan Johnson back to receive the punt for the Tigers. Fair catch at the 19 for Johnson. Hey, when we come back, we'll introduce you to the Chancellor of UT Martin, Dr. Keith Carver. Hey, he's got some power. He'll prove it when we come back.
That was a great tweet that we saw from your team. I was able to get Dr. Carver away from the weight room and onto the field Tell me about that. How much were you bench pressing?
You know, I was leaving a meeting over there, and the students, athletes, were bench pressing that day, and they called me over and wanted to see how many times I could do 135. And so I, under immense peer pressure, got 20 reps. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, I bet. Coach Simpson says that you bring the fun. You bring a lot of energy to the faculty, the student body. Why is that important to you?
You know, students come to college for an education, and it's a tough 4 years, you know, and we push them hard in the classroom. And so I think anything that we can do to make the college experience fun, make them feel like they belong, and boost morale, we're going to do it.
Okay, so not only are you maybe the strongest chancellor, but you're also the most stylish. Take a look at his shoes here. How much emphasis do you put on your style?
Well, we try to represent the Skyhawks every day. So whether it's a blue and orange bow tie or custom Air Force Ones, we try to make it fun.
And for incoming students, what should they know about UT?
Well, UT Martin is a great place. You get a great education in a small setting, and it great sense of belonging created by our faculty and staff.
No question, we can see that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate the time.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Alex, Dr. Carver, thanks very much. And here for Mizzou, Drew Lock has departed the game. Taylor Powell, redshirt freshman quarterback from Fayetteville, has come in, and he has looked very sharp so far. His first opportunity to play for the Tigers.
Yeah, so far so good. We thought we might see a little run from Taylor Powell today. And a nice throw there to Kendall Blanton, wiggling his way out of a tackle. And the coaches raved about Kendall Blanton, the other tight end. They said, don't forget about him. All the attention on Alberto, but they got two really good tight ends on this Mizzou roster.
His first pass attempt was the 44-yard completion. Added that another 18-yard completion for Taylor Powell, who's a 6'2", 210-pound redshirt freshman. Drew Lock perhaps looks like his afternoon is finished after one drive into the second half. Went 19 for 25, 289 yards and 4 TDs. Threw to 10 different receivers.
That's a pretty solid showing here for just over 2 quarters of action. I think Drew Lock's thus far as advertised, and the big number I'm paying attention to, the 19 to 25 number right there. We talked about it in the open. Got to improve his accuracy, keep his defense off the field, keep moving the chains. 19 to 25, that'll get the job done every single time. A very impressive showing today for Drew Lock. I believe that's 76%. I know I went to Alabama, but
that's good math for a fellow like yourself there. 76% completion
fellow like yourself,
percentage.
I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Offensive linemen are the smartest guys in the field, Mark. You know that. Don't buy the quarterback nonsense that those guys are smart.
Into the end zone for Nate Brown off his fingertips. Andrew Horton Martindale with the coverage. But the point for Drew Lock, his completion percentage last year was 57.8%, which is actually the highest of his first 3 seasons. Where would you like to see that finish the season this year?
Yeah, you see he's gotten a little better every year, and I know part of that is scheme. Right? He played in a scheme that took a lot of shots down the field, wasn't big on completion percentage, but I think now he's in a more NFL pro-style offense. I know Derek Dooley wants him to work on that, his accuracy of completing more balls.
Tucker McCann, 32-yard field goal to cap off that drive. Second field goal of the day for McCann.
The College Football Playoff lives on ESPN.
Kickoff weekend here on the SEC Network. Mizzou leading Tennessee Martin 48-7 after a second Tucker McCann field goal this afternoon. Tigers to kick it away to UTM. Terry Williams and Peyton Logan back deep for the Skyhawks. From about a yard deep, Terry Williams decides he will take a knee. And now let's check in with the studio once again and say hey to Darian Oka. Please do. Thank you, Dory. That Auburn-Washington game living up to the hype so far.
Sure is, and that's a huge game early in the season for both of those teams with big playoff implications. I think it's, looking on paper, it's been a pretty even matchup so far. I think both of those teams, no matter who wins this game, have a chance to wind up in the playoff.
Mr. Wynn on play action, fires a dangerous pass, is broken up, intended for Devontae Howard. Cam Hilton was right over there and close to picking that one.
Yeah, really nice play right here by a guy they're really high on. Number 7, Cam Hilton, a guy who got a lot of experience last year, comes in kind of the leader of this group. Senior back there in the backfield, almost got himself a reception right there. Good job breaking that pass up.
A guy who played wide receiver as a true freshman in 15. That one's deflected by Nate Anderson. Toronto native, but he played his high school football. Nate Anderson did at Prattville, Alabama. You know, with all the time in Smithtown, that's one of the elite high school programs.
I got some good high school football in Alabama. I came from a place where high school football wasn't quite as big of a deal, but Alabama takes really all their football pretty seriously, but high school is no exception. They got several TV shows. You know, you got Hoover and all kind of different big schools down there in Alabama. Some intense football down there.
3rd and 10 for UTM. Dresser Wynn. Chased down again, able to escape for now. Lets it go downfield, waiting on it, having to adjust. Incomplete at the Mizzou 40, but there was some contact. And that's going to go against the Tigers. Looking for Ladarius Galloway. Therese Hall with some contact on Galloway.
Defense, number 24, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Yeah, you don't often see Therese Hall, a linebacker, wind up 40 yards downfield. Obviously, probably covering the running back out of the backfield here. Good job by Therese Hall, ranging all the way down there. But you know what a referee is looking for right here is you got to turn your head. You got to find a way to get that head around. Therese Hall actually in pretty good position. Got to just find that football. Anytime you run into a guy like that, it's an easy call for the official.
Wynn hands off to Poe, who gives it. Terry Williams in the end around will get to the edge, but he pushed out about the 47-yard line by Therese Hall. To the studio again, and Dari. Some who really like West Virginia in the Big 12 this year.
Yeah, a lot of people have picked West Virginia to possibly win the Big 12. A lot of people think the Big 12 is pretty wide open this year. You know, kind of a mystery of what we're going to see exactly out of Oklahoma. A lot of the key players for that football team kind of been replaced, but still a lot of talent over there. I still probably like Oklahoma in the Big 12. Kyler Murray, a guy who's a really good athlete. Excited to watch him play. I know they put up some big video game numbers today against what some people thought might be a competitive game against Florida Atlantic and the Fighting Lane Kiffins, but did not work out that way.
Here's a pitch to Jamie Bowe. Inside the up to the 47-yard line, tackled by Cale Garrett. Just over 5 minutes left here in this third quarter. Jamie Bowe comes out. Brings Galloway into the backfield for UTM. Wynn. Gonna jump out of bounds right near the marker at midfield.
That's one of the most frustrating things a quarterback can do for an offensive lineman.
Because that's a sack, right?
It's run out of bounds for a three-yard loss. I mean, they will hear about that one in the meeting room. I guarantee. All you got to do is just throw the ball 3 yards down the field across the line of scrimmage. Goes down as incompletion. But no, you know, quarterbacks, they don't like throwing incompletion, so they just run out of bounds for losses, make their O-line look bad. So the big uglies right there will not appreciate that in the meeting room on Monday when they see the stats.
Sophomore Dresser Wynn is a player that UTM is looking forward to having a big contribution for them this year, especially in conference play. And he finds wide open Ladarius Galloway down the sideline. A foot race to the end zone. Touchdown, Skyhawks. And Dresser Wynn says, hey, big uglies, thanks for the protection. Take that.
Yeah, the big uglies might be a little more apt to forgive him right there. I talked earlier about how clean the Mizzou defense had been so far. That was just a total blown assignment by Ryan Walters' defense right there. Nobody covered the back out of the backfield.
51-yard touchdown pass, Dresser win to Ladarius Galloway. So Galloway, who had a touchdown last year at Ole Miss, now has a touchdown catch here at Mizzou. The point after is up and through. 48-14, UTM. Finding Galloway down the sideline and the end zone for the Skyhawks.
Let's take another look at this last touchdown right here from Missouri. Got simple man-to-man coverage, a route we see a lot of times. Somebody's got to cover the back out of the backfield. We talked all day about how clean Missouri has been assignment-wise. Right here we got a freshman, number 32, Nick Bolton, probably responsible for this back coming out of the backfield. Nobody picks him up. An easy touchdown for Ladarius Galloway. This is the kind of kinks you got to work out in the first week of the season. Somebody's got to cover the back out of the backfield. That's a theme that you hear all the time from defensive coordinators, that you draw up all these fancy blitzes and coverages, but you always got to be wary of that guy standing right in the backfield. Right there, a total blown coverage that cost Missouri 6 points.
Nick Bolton, though, is a true freshman that was a huge surprise to the upside in fall camp for Missouri. A guy who initially verbaled to Washington in a couple of days before signing day, switched to Mizzou, and he had a tremendous camp from all indications.
Yeah, the coaches actually raved about this guy. I think he has tremendous upside. I hate that his first exposure, as me picking on him. I wasn't trying to pick. If you're Nick Bolton's parents, I apologize, but that was a tough first play. But you know what? A lot of good days ahead for Nick Bolton.
The handoff to Tyler Beatty. Yard and a half for Beatty. Anthony Brown, defensive end, with the tackle. Here's Bolton. Like 6 feet, 235 pounds, out of Lone Star High School in the Dallas area, Frisco, Texas. And yeah, that may have perhaps been one blown aside, but that's a guy who's going to be a big contributor for Mizzou throughout the years.
Perhaps, and we don't know for sure, but I tell you what, thinking about it, let's just assume that was Nick Bolton. We see a flag down here on the field. It's like a false start.
That's on Christopherson, the tight end.
False start, offense, number 88, 5-yard penalty, second down.
And let me tell you why this time is so valuable for those young guys is plays exactly like that right there. And I know, obviously, Nick Bolton, perhaps if it was his man, gave up a touchdown there, but I guarantee you that Nick Bolton will never forget that play, and he'll never forget that, you know what, I have this guy out of the backfield. He'll understand the ramifications, because in practice, when something like that happens, you think, oh, well. But in a game, when you give up 6 points, it kind of creates a memory in your head, and you're much less likely to make that mistake again. It's so valuable for these young guys to get that. And I look here on the field, I think I see 4 different true freshmen in the football game. It's so valuable for these guys to get those reps.
And again, this is something Mizzou didn't get the opportunity to do last year. The game, perhaps they thought they were going to get that chance, was the opener against Missouri State a year ago, but they did not in a shootout that they won 72-43. Powell going to take off with it and slide down at the 33-yard line. He's tapped by Tyree Bryant. 5-yard run for Taylor Powell. But it'll be 4th down and Mizzou to punt. And for the first time today, we see Corey Fatone, the first-string punter for Mizzou. Mizzou only allowed 11 punt returns all of last year, and a big reason for that was Corey Fatone. Low snap. Tony gets the punt away. The fair catch called for, but it lands and it bounced into the arms of Ben Phillips.
Heads up play there by Ben Phillips, grabbing that football.
Let's go down below and check in with Alex Cordry.
All right, Mark Barrett, well, part of Missouri's Heisman campaign for Drew Lock. was a Drew Lock bobblehead, looking good, huh? So Lock was asked about the resemblance to him. He said, well, I have blue eyes, not brown. And he did say that he doesn't show as much forehead, but he did give it his stamp of approval. So everybody loves a good bobblehead, right? What do you guys think?
Yeah, just being bobbled, so to speak, as a bobblehead is
an
a big
honor.
deal. Yeah.
I see the resemblance. I mean, look at the, you got to give him one. Got some nice white choppers right there. Working those crest white strips. I like that.
Here's Dresser Wynn.
That'll help your Heisman campaign.
Tackled at 33. He's going to lose a couple of yards there. What do you think?
What do you think? Tweet us and tell us what you think about the resemblance of Drew Lock and his bobblehead. I mean, it's a good-looking bobblehead. I mean, it's the thing is, if somebody makes a bobblehead of it, you want it to be a good-looking bobblehead. That's a good-looking bobblehead right there. I'd be honored to have that bobblehead.
By the way, Jacob Trump there defensively for Mizzou on that last play, guy who's the nephew of head coach Barry Odom. That pass incomplete at the Tigers' 40. Joshua Bledsoe on the coverage for the Tigers. It's obviously too early, Barrett, to be talking about the Heisman Trophy, but coming into a season, you can look at players like Drew Lock who have the physical ability and the track record where you say, hey, yeah, it wouldn't be a shocker if somebody like Drew Lock was in the Heisman talk and perhaps won it.
No, I agree. I think in order for him to make real noise in the Heisman conversation, he's probably going to either have to beat or just have an outstanding game against a team like Alabama or Georgia. Really, the Heisman Trophy is not won against teams like UT Martin. It's won in those big marquee games. And to Missouri's credit, they have a lot of those games coming up. Look at teams like you mentioned, Alabama and Georgia and Tennessee and Florida. And there'll be a lot of opportunities for Drew Lock to state his case on national television. So I think he'll have an opportunity. And another interesting stat, I think if you want a guy on your team to win the Heisman Trophy, generally you got to win at least 10 games. You got to be in the conversation. I think the only guy who's won the Heisman Trophy in the last few years without winning 10 games was Lamar Jackson, and they won 9. So you got to kind of be in the national conversation. And Missouri has a good enough team to be in that conversation if they play up to what they're capable of.
Dominic Jacinto, true freshman, with a 1-yard punt return. So back comes the Mizzou offense onto the field. Now the Tigers, 3 weeks from today, will be hosting Georgia. And there are a couple of games in between. They host Wyoming here next Saturday night on ESPN2. Then they're at Purdue. Then at Georgia 3 weeks from today. And Bill Kiper's top 5 right now heading into this collegiate season. Drew Lock at the top of his board for draft-eligible quarterbacks. Dawson Downing now in as the back for the Tigers. He gets the carry. Just across the 25-yard line. And 4.
Yeah, see Drew Lock there at the top of that list. Again, we talked about it in the opener. Wouldn't shock anyone, I think, around this program or who follows this team nationally if Drew Lock had an outstanding season, number 1, and number 2. That season resulted in his name being called number 1 overall. There's always a team out there that needs a quarterback. You can never have too many good quarterbacks, and Drew Lock has a lot of characteristics that fit the mold of a great NFL quarterback. So we see a pass interference, probably saved a touchdown right here. Let's take a look at the schedule of Missouri. The thing that jumps off the page to me is these road games. At Purdue, a huge swing game in their schedule. At South Carolina, at Alabama, at Florida, at Tennessee. So if Missouri wants to make waves in the national conversation and have a chance for Drew Lock to win the Heisman, they're going to have to not only win some big games, but win some big games away from home. That week 3 game at Purdue, they got embarrassed by Purdue last year, 35-3 at home. And if they really want to be the team they think they're able to be this year, that's a big game on their schedule, kind of an early swing game that will determine really what this team is made of. Jeff Brom's done a fantastic job with that Purdue team of getting that program turned around.
Dropped their opener at home to Northwestern the other night, but that'll definitely be a key game for the Tigers in a couple of weeks in West Lafayette. Remember last year, they beat all the teams with losing records, lost all the teams with winning records.
And don't forget this stat right here, that 18 points per game and 54 points. How about that for a differential? And that's exactly what Derek Dooley was brought in here to help with, is to get more consistency in this offense. So even though they've looked sharp today, really the true test of this offense and Derek Dooley and how this whole thing is working was not going to come today. They've always been successful against subpar opponents. The test might come in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks when they really get into the meat of that schedule and play against some quality opponents.
25 seconds left in the third quarter. No Mizzou turnovers to this point in the game, which is another thing that obviously Barry Odom and all head coaches keep a close eye on. This pass going for Brown, and he fights for it. Comes away with it. There's a flag down, but
it's offsides. It's a great catch right there by Brown. Exactly what we talked about previously with Drew Lock. A great job by the center, keeping his eye on the left defensive end, snapping the ball again.
Defense number 97.
Jalen Knox here on the catch.
He's off to the players the first down.
Again, what do you do when you're a quarterback and receiver and you see an offsides? You throw a go route. Great job. Again, that's something that's practiced over and over. Every time in practice, there's a player offside. You practice running those go routes and just tossing up some jump balls, obviously knowing that an interception is not going to hurt you when you already have an offsides penalty. So great job right there of execution.
And that's going to take us to the end of the third quarter. Drew Lock's day finished after the first possession of this third quarter. And the Tigers marching again. We'll head to the fourth quarter this opening weekend in Columbia. Another good day for Drew Lock. And right now at the end of 3, Mizzou 48 and UTM 14.
M-I-Z! C-L-U! M-I-Z! C-L-U! Hooray! Hooray! Mizzou! Mizzou! Hooray! Hooray! Mizzou! 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 Mizzou!
We headed to the fourth quarter from Faurot Field in Columbia. Mizzou leading UT Martin 48-14. The Tigers begin the fourth quarter with a first down from the 21-yard line. Here's the pass by Taylor Powell to the end zone and incomplete for Jalen Knox. Covered by Andrew Horton Martindale. Knox, 6 feet tall, 195 pounds. True freshman, had a bunch of offers, Big Ten, Pac-12, Big 12. Play the SEC. How about this 40 time? 4.51.
Yeah, kid the coaches were raving about it. Again, keep in mind, this kid's a backup, right? I mean, when you're a receiver and you're on the 2 deep, you're probably going to get a lot of run during the season. So these are some valuable reps for him to be able to get here in this football game and get some experience out in the perimeter.
Dawson Downing, the redshirt sophomore tailback for the Tigers. Carey, guy who came to the program as a walk-on, was just recently put on scholarship. His big game last year was against UConn. Had 10 carries, 10 of the 20 carries he had for the season.
It's a pretty cool tradition in college football, I think, that's kind of come in vogue lately, or the scholarship, handing out the scholarships and the team meeting. I think those are always some neat videos to get to watch and just to understand how much it means to those guys after a lot of years of hard work to finally get put on scholarship.
Parents don't mind it either.
I bet they don't. I bet they don't.
Jacinto catch brought down by T.J. Jefferson. Coming up 7:30 Eastern tonight, 6:30 Central on the SEC Network. College football continues. Charleston Southern taking on the Gators. Oh, the Mullen debut go. SEC Saturday night matchup. Also on the SEC Network alternate channel. Middle Tennessee taking on Vandy. You can also see all that streaming live on the ESPN app. So Sean Ketting, the redshirt freshman, an opportunity with this field goal attempt here of 33 yards off the left hash. And Ketting splits the uprights. That's good. 33-yard attempt good for the redshirt freshman Sean Ketting, and it's 51-14. Early fourth quarter from Columbia, Missouri. The Tigers up on Tennessee Martin 51-14. UT Martin get the ball back. Sean Kettig, who kicked the 33-yard field goal for Mizzou, kicks off, and touchback coming out to the 25 for the Skyhawks. Here's the head coach, Jason Simpson of UT Martin, a guy who played quarterback at Mississippi State when he was at Starkville. Also played baseball for legendary coach Ron Polk at Mississippi State. Now his son Ty now is rated by many the top dual threat quarterback in his freshman class. He's a freshman starter on varsity for Westview High School. They've already played 3 games so far this season. And he has been recruited by a number of big-time schools, including a lot of SEC schools. So Jason Simpson's son, Ty Martin, Ty Simpson that is a freshman at Westview. And the scholarship offers have been forthcoming even though he is just a freshman. Here's a look at some of the offers, including from Jim Harbaugh at Michigan, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi State, South Carolina, and the SEC. His class in 2022. We asked Coach Jason Simpson, are you recruiting your own son? And he said tongue-in-cheek, yeah, but I told him that he's uncoachable and he doesn't keep his room clean, so don't expect an offer.
Well, he'll have some good advice coming from Dad as far as what to look for in a program. And I know Barry Odom even mentioned to us that kind of hoping Ty might come to this game and get a little exposure to the Missouri program. So I think a lot of big-time schools, and I know a lot of SEC schools, will be looking at young Ty Simpson. Only a freshman, already pretty highly rated, a starter on varsity. Obviously, you can just imagine probably has some a leg up on the competition growing up with a coach at home. Probably heard a lot of ball at a young age, I would imagine. Thinks the game pretty well for a freshman. I don't even know the kid, but I'm just making some assumptions here based on the fact that his dad is a coach.
This is Peyton Logan, who was down. Jacob Trump looked to have the tackle for the Tigers.
Peyton Logan seems to disagree. Does not think he was down. Always got to be careful about that, though, especially with those small, little crafty running backs that you get them down on the ground. It was a famous play a few years ago. Auburn and Oregon in the national championship where thought Trey Mason was down and he was not, was spun around and ran for a big gain to ultimately set up the game-winning field goal for the Auburn Tigers in 2010.
Dominic Jacinto back to receive the punt for Mizzou. Takes the fair catch of the 36. There's a timeout with 12:03 left, fourth quarter. 51-14, Mizzou. Drew Lock making his 2018 debut. And it's been a good debut for the Mizzou senior.
Sure has. Drew Lock was extremely sharp in this football game, exactly what you want to see from a possible Heisman contender. We talked in the open about his arm strength, really showed off his arm strength today with a lot of deep balls, 4 for 5 on deep balls today. Extremely accurate, throwing the ball down the field, a nice, quick, crisp release. Also put some nice touch and timing on some throws like that corner route right there for a touchdown. But this is probably where Drew Lock's at his best, throwing these seam routes down the field, and has a live arm that has a lot of pro scouts extremely excited.
Powell's pass intended for Alex Ofadale is incomplete.
Second down and 10 at the 36.
Drew Lock will take on Wyoming next Saturday, 6 o'clock Central, 7 Eastern on ESPN2. No Josh Allen for Wyoming this year, but Craig Bohl and the Cowboys, very good team. It'll be a good matchup for the Tigers next week. But Drew Lock today, this is a picture. They had a really nice article in the Kansas City Star a couple days ago about him playing with his team in 6th grade and how it was a pivotal year in his development, believe it or not, in 6th grade. It's a big year. And how in 6th grade his team's playbook for Drew had 100 plays in it. That's insane, isn't it?
My first year of football was in the 6th grade, and I'm going to go ahead on a limb and say that my playbook was about 8 plays. So that's a lot of plays. I honestly can't imagine a scenario where you need 100 plays as a 6th grader.
Taylor Powell had a lot of time rolling out. His pass incomplete, intended for the tight end Logan Christopherson.
We talked in the open about Drew Lock and some of the things that he was strong, and you saw his strengths on display today: arm strength, anticipation, the playmaking ability he had down the field, and his weaknesses, the things he needed to improve on, his decision making, his accuracy. You take a look at his stat line, and 0 turnovers, right? That's the most important number to Derek Dooley and the staff, is taking better care of the football. Again, had 11 interceptions last year. And then that accuracy, we talked about it many times in this broadcast, but 76% today. That's more along the lines of what Derek Dooley wants to see from his star.
Ben Phillips being chased, and he has tripped up and tackled to play on special teams. Tavon Ross, UTM ball when we come back. Wow. Can history repeat itself? That would be something else if App State can hang on. Here's a running play. It's Peyton Logan for UTM. Nice run for him.
App State, if I'm an athletic director out there and I'm looking to schedule a non-conference game, I don't know if I'm scheduling App State.
Yeah, I think it's clear.
That's some season wreckers. That's what those guys are.
Ever had a chance to go to Boone, North Carolina? See App State? Beautiful place.
It's not really on the way to anything.
No, it's, when you get there, though, pretty nice spot.
Beaten path.
Here's a handoff once again, running right. Logan. By the way, that previous run by Logan of 15 yards was the longest run of the day for UTM.
Nice play right there by another freshman, Jadorian Hansford. A lot of freshmen in the game today. Again, Barry Odom told us just how much he liked this freshman class, was excited about the energy and the talent they were bringing on campus. Cupboard was a little bit bare for a few years there, but Barry Odom's done a nice job of getting this program back on track, bringing in a really solid freshman class.
And the Tigers again last year, 1-5, then won their next 6, their last 6 regular season games. Went to a bowl game for the first time in 3 years, lost to Texas, but nice finish for Mizzou. And can they build on that in 2018?
Yeah. I love watching Barry Odom right there in that clip. Man, that's exactly that's an SEC coach for you. Coaching hard, no matter if it's the first quarter or the fourth quarter. You got to coach these guys and make sure they're doing the right thing. He's not out there resting. He's watching these young guys, trying to figure out
lefty. Joe Hudson's pass is incomplete. Back to the studio. Dari, what's going on? Man, oh man.
Wow. That's a team right there that has playoff aspirations, make no doubt about it. It's not over yet, obviously. Looking to tie it up with that extra point, but that's a huge, huge football game. Keep an eye on as we keep going. On the first college football Saturday, nice to be back, isn't it, Mark?
It is. And happy opening week to everyone out there as well. Fair catch made by Jacinto. Been a good day for the Mizzou Tigers, who lead 51-14 with under 10 minutes to go. Well, time for our unexpected outcome, brought to you by Exxon and Mobil. And it's Mizzou receiver Emmanuel Hall, who averaged 24.8 yards per reception last year, and he bumped that up today.
Yeah, no doubt. Emmanuel Hall, extremely sharp today. 4 catches for 171 yards. That's a pretty good day right there by anywhere. Also had 2 touchdowns on the day. He kind of defined himself in my eyes as Drew Lock's go-to guy for the rest of the season. Watch for Emmanuel Hall to put up monster numbers.
Ball carried by Tyler Beatty. There's the numbers today for Emmanuel Hall. The 4 catches for 171 yards.
43 yards catch. That's pretty.
Your math has been spot on today.
That's pretty impressive. I got an assist from the old iPhone right there on that one, just to double check. 42 in the first half, but had 1 more catch in the second half. Had to make sure. Emmanuel Hall, though, that guy, he can run. He is a deep threat. His yard per catch number this year, I'm going to go on a limb and say, will be pretty high, because that guy is going to be a weapon down the field. Particularly the way they're using the run game this year. I think it'll set up a lot of play action for Drew Lock and these Tigers. And Emmanuel Hall will be the target of many of those play action deep routes, like the way he runs in the open field.
Number 12, Sherrod Pittman made the tackle but lost his helmet. He comes off. That's a loss of 1 for Mizzou.
Got to encourage those guys to strap those helmets up really tight. You know, it's funny now how at the beginning we kind of all argued about the helmet rule, didn't like it, but now when you see a player, as soon as his helmet falls off, he knows what he's got to do. He's got to run out of the game for a play before he can come back in. It's been a good addition. We've seen fewer and fewer helmets come off because guys are paying closer attention to strap those helmets up tightly.
Howell hands it off. Beatty hitting the backfield. That's going to be a tackle for loss for James Gillian, the linebacker. And that's a loss of 2.
Talked in the open about the negative plays from the offensive line. Don't see a whole lot of negative plays. Don't see many busted assignments right there. Unfortunately, a busted assignment. Tough for a running back to get going when he gets hit in the backfield, but you know, the starting offensive line won't like that. Seeing those young guys getting it there and giving up a negative play that makes their stats look worse. You don't think offensive linemen don't notice that stuff. They're competitive. They want the stats. I mean, you know, offensive linemen are always a little bitter because they don't really have stats. You know, I mean, nobody really tracks those stats, so they take a lot of pride in the team stats.
Tyler Beatty trying to add to his stat line. He's tackled by T.J. Jefferson after an 8-yard run.
Yards per carry, number of sacks. Those are the kind of stats. That's why it frustrates. You know, we talked about earlier when a quarterback runs out of bounds for a loss of 1, it goes down to a sack. That's the bane of an offensive lineman's existence when he sees a quarterback do that. Got to airmail that thing into the 3rd row.
4th down, Mizzou to punt. Corey Fatone didn't have any action in the first half. He's been a little busier here in the second half.
He's probably honestly excited to get a live game rep of a chance to pin him deep right here.
Fair catch for Phillips, and he makes the fair catch diving at the 2-yard line.
Phillips obviously did not get the memo that you put your heels in the 10. If the ball goes over your head, you let it go. But Phillips missed that. There is a little wind up there pushing it back.
Well, let's take you in the way back machine. Well, not that far back. How about, come on, 6 years.
6 years.
Not that far. Host in Alabama.
We got
there you are.
There was some torrential downpour that day. I don't know if anybody remembers that game, but we had a lightning delay, the only game I've ever played in, where we had a lot of weather. So we were fortunate to get out of here with a win. Eddie Lacy had a big day that day. That was fun. Now I remember, you know, when it rains like that, I remember very vividly being down there, having to try to wipe the ball off, keep it dry, and just thinking, just get it back to the quarterback. You know, I don't want to snap it over his head. It was very wet that day. It was almost like a slip and slide out there.
You know, Mizzou's going to go to Tuscaloosa for the first time this year. You talked with some Mizzou fans who are already kind of looking at that game for an opportunity to go to Tuscaloosa for the first time.
I gave out a few restaurant recommendations. You know, I had a lot of people asking me what Tuscaloosa is going to be like. I know that the fans are excited, and I think the Tuscaloosa fans over there will treat the Mizzou fans pretty well. It's a fun place to watch a football game. I've already talked to several fans in the hallways who were excited about making the trip this year. So Mizzou fans really enjoying, I think, being in the SEC. Obviously had some good success early in the league. Trying to find that again.
The Tigers now in their 7th season in the SEC. Here's what's ahead. Wyoming next Saturday on ESPN2, 7 Eastern, 6 Central, and then a game at Purdue, and then 3 weeks from today they're hosting Georgia.
I've seen a lot of experts who've picked that kind of as a trap game for Georgia. You know, I'm not going to go that far. I think Georgia's going to have another really good football team this year. But again, the thing that stands out to me are all those road games. A lot of tough tests there with at Purdue, at South Carolina, at Alabama, at Florida, and at Tennessee. They're going to have to find a way to win some of those road games if they want to make some noise in the East this year. In the East, honestly, Mark, the way I look at it, it's pretty wide open after Georgia. Obviously, Georgia, you would think, is the class of the East. You look at talent-wise, but past that, there's really a lot of question marks when you think about a new coach at Tennessee, a new coach at Florida, Kentucky, Vanderbilt. A lot of question marks in the East, and kind of waiting for a team to emerge as that second place or contender team, so to give Georgia a run for their money. Could be Missouri.
First down, but Donnell Williams, number 11.
Offense, number 11, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
UTM not going to be happy with the penalties. That's their 13th for 108 penalty yards. Here's the preseason media poll. No surprise, Georgia's the pick in the East. But, you know, really after that, you're just kind of bunching a lot of teams together.
Really, to me, 2 through 7 could end in any order, and I think especially that 2, 3, 4, 5 spot. It'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out there at the end of the season.
Quarterback Joe Hudson, the keeper, advances to the 24-yard line. Guy they call JoJo, 6'2", redshirt junior quarterback out of San Diego, transferred in from Southwestern College.
Shaping up, Mark, to be a pretty solid day for the SEC. Things hold as they are right now. Auburn leading Washington down in Atlanta. Obviously, Alabama plays tonight. Ole Miss got a nice quality win over a Big 12 team today in Texas Tech. Love those neutral site games. Always enjoyed those to start the season off. I think it's personally more fun when you have all offseason to dream and think about a kind of a brand name opponent. You know, it's fun for the guys to think about the team they're going to play all offseason. And you see, it's a very common practice now to schedule those big games early in the season.
You know, Auburn today playing Washington at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. That's actually Auburn's 3rd consecutive game in that building.
That's a great point. 3rd consecutive game.
Hudson gets rid of it, dumps it underneath.
0-2 in those. Well, I guess 2 games looking to change that.
Yeah. Looks like they're on the verge of doing that. Logan tackled by Christian Holmes. Under 4 minutes to go. But right now, as we saw, a quick look at Ryan Walters, the defensive coordinator for the Tigers. What's he thinking at this point?
Yeah, I think he's excited to get some of these young guys run. I'm sure he's paying attention, you know, seeing who can handle their assignment football. I think there will come a time in the season where a veteran starter will go down, you know, maybe in the secondary, and you'll have a chance to turn to one of these young guys and play some meaningful minutes. And this is kind of finding out who you can trust. You know, obviously you have an idea of who you can trust from practice, but you really never know for sure. It can kind of go both ways of when the lights come on, some guys play a little better, some guys play a little worse. He wants to find those guys who play a little better.
Zane Cox, 35-yard punt with no return. So Penn State and App State are going to overtime. Here are our picks. Right now, mine on the bottom is not looking great, but they may survive this thing. We'll see, but
it's not a great look for you, Mark, there with the Penn State pick.
That game's not over, but obviously Alabama and Clemson are big picks, and who's highlighted is who we have picked to win the national championship. I have Clemson, Alex, and Barrett. No surprise, each have Alabama.
Well, and I know I have Washington on there, so a lot of people are probably thinking that I have Washington, but I think Washington can still lose this game to Auburn and still, with their schedule, have a chance to make that playoff.
How about Ohio State's dominating win today, 77-31 over the Beavers?
Yeah, that looked pretty good too, but hey, Michigan still got to play tonight, so my Michigan pick is not out of the realm. Michigan's got a big game tonight against Notre Dame. That one will be a lot of fun. So I think that Michigan team, I have a sneaky feeling this could be their year to take down Ohio State and finally win that big game. I think Ohio State's got a lot of question marks, a lot of talent, but I think Shea Patterson will be the difference as a playmaker for Michigan this season.
Barrett, how much, though, when a team like Ohio State is dealing with adversity, can a team rally around that and get the guys going inside the locker room?
That's a great question. You know, I think it's be very interesting to see how they respond. We really won't find out. You know, maybe definitely not the first 2 weeks of the season, possibly week 3. Got a little tougher challenge, but I think it's certainly been a distraction. Obviously, the coaching staff will say it hasn't been a distraction, but I can't imagine how everything that's gone down in Columbus this year has not been a slight distraction for the players. I mean, particularly when you see a different guy every day in front of you addressing the team. You know, every day you have the same guy in front of you addressing you, telling you how you did at practice. At the end of the day, circling you all together and kind of giving a diagnosis, and then you have a different guy doing that. I think it does have an effect.
Michael Wilson now in at quarterback for Mizzou. He just had a 17-yard run. We slip under. Minute 40 to go. Wrapped up, nowhere to go for Downing. Just fun to have college football back. Talking about all this stuff, watching games.
It is fun, man. That's the great thing about college football. Why I hope they never change it too much. The regular season is just too fun. You got App State and Penn State. There's always incredible storylines and upsets going on in college football, and it's a great product. And honored to be up here, being able to call it. It's kind of a dream come true. So it's a fun sport, and I really like what I saw from Missouri today, Mark. Obviously, playing an opponent that's a little bit subpar as far as talent-wise, but the thing that impressed me the most was the way they came in here and executed. They seemed focused and locked in. They seemed like a team on a mission. When you have a lot of senior leaders like Drew Lock, some of the guys they have here, they look focused and they looked on a mission. So I think this is a team that's going to make some noise in the East this year. Excited to see where Drew Lock is able to take these Missouri Tigers, and if they are able to threaten Georgia, that'll be an interesting early season showdown when Georgia comes to town in a few weeks.
Mizzou will host Wyoming next Saturday night, 7 Eastern, 6 Central on ESPN2. And that's going to take care of things for game 1 for Drew Lock and the Tigers. They're going to take a 51-14 win over the Ohio Valley Conference's UTM.
Solid first game for Barry Odom of the season. Again, guys look focused. They look locked in. I think we answered some questions. We answered the question of who will be Drew Lock's go-to guy. You see him right there, Emmanuel Hall. Big day today with 4 catches for 171 yards and 2 touchdowns. We answered the question of the running back situation. We have 2 really solid-looking running backs in Demaria Crockett and Larry Roundtree. The offensive line looks good. The defense looks improved. I think the sky's the limit for these Missouri Tigers. They're going to make some noise, and anytime you got that guy right there, number 3, under center, you got a chance to win the football game. This guy's got a bunch of weapons around him.
And if anything, just take the opener last year against Missouri State, which they won 72-43, but in many ways it was kind of an omen for what was about to happen over the next month or so for the Tigers. Now, obviously, it got a lot better for Mizzou, but I think they come away today feeling a lot better than they did a year ago leaving the field after game 1.
And make no mistake, confidence matters in football. Right? I mean, you have to develop some confidence as a team that you're able to make those big plays, that you're able to go out there and execute in game situations. And so a game like this helps build your confidence. Even though it's against a team like UT Martin, you still have a situation where you've gone out and you played a really solid, clean football game. That gives you confidence moving forward. That you see things on film and you're like, this will work against anybody, the way we executed today. So I'm sure they have some things they want to clean up, but a solid performance overall by Missouri.
Drew Lock with Alex.
Thank you, Mark. Drew, new offensive coordinator and Derek Dooley, and no problem. How comfortable are you in this offense?
I'd say the whole offense is really comfortable right now. But, we got to stay on edge. I like staying on edge at all times. Don't want to get too complacent, get too relaxed. I know we had a really big game last year against Missouri State, and we came out and played South Carolina and lost that next one. We just got to come out and prep like we did this week, but overall, really comfortable in the offense. Coach Dooley did a great job today.
How would you best describe your chemistry with Emmanuel Hall?
I think it's built up over 3 to 4 years. Obviously, we came in together, same class. He's done a fantastic job with getting extra work with me in after practice and in the summer. It's just pretty much I'm going to throw it up there to him, and he's going to come down with it regardless of the situation.
I love that. Now, Drew, you mentioned that you got to stay on edge. How do you do that?
Yeah, I think you talk about it today. We started off really fast, going 14, then 21. Just can't get complacent. We started, obviously, we won our first game, like I said, last year, and then went on a little rough patch there. We started about talking fast this season. Started off 1-0, but we just got to keep it going.
Thanks so much. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Mark?
Alex, thanks very much. Drew as well. And I think Drew Lock just kind of echoed what we were just talking about. They saw what happened last year after the win over Missouri State, and they're going to be on point, on edge, looking forward to Wyoming next Saturday.
Well, no doubt. He talked about starting fast. That's a big point of emphasis, not only in the season, but also in each game, as you want to get out there and execute early, start fast, kind of set the tone. And here we go. We set the tone for the season. They started fast. A great start of this game with a big victory over UT Martin.
Mizzou wins at 51-14 over UT Martin. That's going to take care of things from here. Let's send it to the studio and Daria Noka. Oh, just kidding. We don't need you, just me. On camera or not?
Yeah, it'll be like an instant analysis. Just
You want jacket?
Hey, Eric, I have Therese. Just a second. We're putting your name on the logo screen.
Okay, cool.
Oh, hot today.
I know, man. Hey, it's just that first game, and always the first game be like super hot or something like that. Even last year, super hot.
Here we go. Oh, 10 seconds. Sorry. You made the defense. Watch.
Yes, I did, man. I had to, we can't come out how we came out like last year, man. So he made us an emphasis, man. It ain't gonna be on us. We know the offense will put up a lot of points. Now we just got to hold our ground down. So that was the main emphasis from last year. We got to hold our end, man. We know what they're gonna do. So that's how it's gonna be, man. Throughout the whole season, man. One game at a time. I can't wait. I really can't wait. I ain't gonna lie to you, like we played them, cause this is actually my very first scrimmage back, you know what I mean? Cause I was kind of out a little bit. I had a little hamstring deal throughout camp. So this is my very first scrimmage, tackling people.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so.
Wow. So how do you feel?
I'm healthy, yeah. I'm ready to go. So I was kind of kind of shaky when I first came out. I was feeling my legs kind of feel weird. But now I'm ready to go, man. Can't wait to play them.
Here we go. Therese, a lot of, excuse me. Oh, sorry. Oh, good. Therese, there was a lot of comments, questions about what this defense was going to look like. What did you learn about the group today?
Oh, man, we built as one, man. That's the main thing. We made an emphasis last year, coming into this game, man. We watched the Missouri State game. We said we can't come out like how we did last year. It's going to be on us, man. We're going to hold our end down. We even had our whole roster pictures up before the game. It just, it's more of a family deal, man. We taking care of each other out there. So, this is our emphasis when we do your 111.
What's the biggest difference this year that you see in your defense?
We more like a family. Last year, you got guys, kind of stats guys, especially if we were the bowl game, we went winning how we were supposed to. We started tying together around the 6th game of the season. We just kept the same old edge, man, all the way through. We lost the Texas game. We came out here today. We handled business like we supposed to. So, now we just more family deal. Coaches and players, even trainers and stuff like that, and the strength staff and everything. Everybody more family. We go to eat together everywhere we go.
Game 1, big full team win. What do you make of Drew Lock's performance today?
Hey, same old Drew Lock. He don't nothing change, man. Drew, man, hey, it's a Drew, man. He make a lot of plays, man. Ever since he got here, I suspected, I expect him to do stuff like that. We just got to hold our end and bargain up. We got good players on. Even him doing his thing, man, you got the O-line blocking for him. You got DC and DeMarie, from Beatty to Dawson to E-Man to Jalen to Nate, all the guys, man, they all put a part into it. Drew did his part. He threw it to him, man. He handed off. O-line block, man. I'm just happy, man. Everything just went how I planned.
Thanks so much. Congratulations on the win.
Oh, yeah. Amen. So, just thankful, man. I just thank God for another opportunity, man. Hey, see Wyoming next week. All right.
Perfect. Great job. Really good job. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Any details? Okay. All right. One of the biggest questions about this game tonight is what would this Drew Lock offense look like under Derek Dooley? We got a lot of those questions answered tonight. Kind of a multiple approach, a lot of different formations, some of the old, some of the new. One thing we did find out is who Drew Lock's go-to guy is. Looks like it will be Emmanuel Hall, 4 catches for 171 yards. Overall, Mizzou looked very sharp on offense, much to improve on defense. Could possibly threaten as the second team in the East. An exciting showdown against Georgia coming in a few weeks.